It says Kokoro Connect. It's public. The thumbnail should be right. All right. Let's get some viewers in here.
Oh, let's absolutely get some viewers in here.
I love viewers. I love when they're in here. I love when they're concurrent. We're live, yeah?
Hello, everyone.
Hello, myself in the chat, just watching the video.
Love that. Post. We have 0 concurrent viewers at the moment, and by 0, I mean 23.
Yes.
How's it going, Jam Salt? Nice to see you. Jam Salt Spinal Cord Sword. Okay.
We out here, we Kokoro connecting, we living. It's a good Sunday. How y'all doing?
We're thriving, as the kids say. Okay. How's everyone in chat doing? What have you been watching lately? How's life? All 16 of you? What's the deal?
Have you been watching Dungeon Meshi like good boys and girls and themels?
No, I haven't.
Damn, I can't believe you do this to me. How could you? It's my current hyperfixation.
The lone female character in Dungeon Meshi is insufferable, and I will not suffer her.
So wait, did you drop the show just because of her?
Yes.
I love Marcel. I will fight you on that.
She is unwatchably bad. Cannot stand
so
having
good.
her in front of my eyes.
I mean, I can understand not liking her. I have to say I'm a bit surprised that, like, she could turn someone off that bad. Just drop the show in its entirety.
Watching her hurts me. I just
Italian
want her to
fail
shut
girl.
up. Every scene where she is in the frame makes me hate the show more.
Damn, I think that's the most visceral reaction I've ever heard about the show.
Yeah. Every time it's on, I just think I could be watching Restaurant to Another World instead.
But yeah, but that show's bad.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody say it's bad before. I've heard people say it's boring.
It's like 5 out of 10, I guess you could put it.
Alright.
That sounds like mediocrity.
Anyway, that's a similar sentiment to what I'm going to say about Kokoro Connect. Which
is... really? It's a 5 out of 10? Ooh, boy. I would put it at a 3 at best.
I did give it a 5 out of 10, but what I meant was every time I had this show in front of my eyes, I just kept thinking we could have been watching After the Rain. This could have been After the Rain.
Hey, don't blame me, blame the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Blame the people.
I do blame the people.
I'm not gonna blame the people because I did like the show.
I'm going to be...
I would rate it like a 7.
I'm going to be so honest with you. This is important to say.
Mm-hmm.
I legitimately thought about just not showing up today because it would mean I wouldn't have to keep watching the show.
Mood.
Wow. Wait, you felt the same way?
I didn't think about not showing up. I did think about DNFing the show.
DNFing?
Do not finish.
Oh.
No, it wasn't bad to watch until the end. Most of the time, it was at least fun to make fun of.
For me, it was like, okay, I like this as a fun do-nothing high school show. This is a 3 out of 10 at best. And then they start talking about their feelings, and it's like, this is a 2 out of 10. Humans do not talk like this.
The dub was horrendous.
Oh, God, yeah, the dubs... When was this even dubbed?
2012.
Well,
I can't imagine the sub is much better, considering that, like, they still have to do these scenes where it's just like, alright, we had a moment, let me sit down and explain my trauma.
Sure. But it wasn't helped by the dub.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the thing I kept thinking about is like, Man, I've heard this voice actor. Where have I heard him from before? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. That's it. Ghost Stories.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oron High School Host Club and every other anime from that era. It was Todd Havercorn or Greg Ayres. They have the same voice.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kokoro Connect dub cast. It looks like 2013 for the dub. I misled you. It was Greg Ayres, the one who has the same voice as Todd Havercorn but isn't as good of an actor.
Yeah, it feels like early dubs for some reason.
Is that what Monica Ryo looks like? That's just not what I expected
probably
her to look like.
I haven't finished the series. I'm on episode 16 at the 9-minute mark. I have no idea what happened.
We only went to 13.
I think you watched more than Brian. I assume you, Bryant, and Scrub didn't watch the OVA.
Certainly not.
Nope. I read about it on the wiki.
Is weird because it didn't seem like they were optional at the end of the series.
Yeah, I mean, like the end of the series definitely, like, I guess starts, or like, I don't know if you would say foreshadows or ends in a cliffhanger of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it is just another arc. I don't think it's more than that.
Yeah. The last episode ends with a title card that says episode 14.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 17 ends with a title card saying episode 14.
No, episode 13, the last episode, ends with the title card saying episode 14, which implies that the OVAs aren't optional.
They kind of aren't, especially because so I did finish because I'm on the OVA 16.
Right.
I didn't know it was the OVA because even when I went to the Wikipedia page, it basically just said, "Hey, there's 17 episodes." It didn't say 14 episodes and then 3 OVAs.
Mm-hmm.
It said, or 13 episodes and 4 OVAs. It just said 17 episodes.
Yep.
So I guess I am ahead of you guys by watching the OVAs.
Mm-hmm.
I finished the OVAs, so I have to assert my dominance and say I'm the biggest Kokoro connector here.
Like I said, I did not watch the OVAs, but I did read about them because I would not be able to stomach watching them.
I could have tolerated it, but I would have wanted to have started earlier. I would not have wanted to watch 5 episodes of Kokoro Connect before Club today.
I watched, since I work Graves, I started around 1 o'clock last night on episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I'm somehow on episode 16 is still impressive.
Yeah, seriously, I don't know how you managed to tolerate that.
I've been 3D modeling a Scott Pilgrim model the whole time.
The scandal surrounding it, please tell me more.
You want to talk about
Kokoro Connect's story was interesting. Too bad the scandal surrounding it made it impossible for it to become more well-known. Yes, please elaborate.
Oh, that sounds juicy.
I don't know.
Oh, this is spicy.
I might jump off. Actually, I'm going to jump off in about an hour, but I want to hear about that.
Sure. No, Ellie,
and
don't leave us hanging.
I'll leave my idea in the Discord for the next vote.
Okay. All right. So we all have varying degrees of dislike for this program. I think.
Oh no, don't mean this.
I'm not disliking this program. I'm just like really neutral on it.
Sure.
Because it's like, it gets cringy at times. The English voice dab is really, really weird.
English voice dab. Whoa.
Oh, it feels like they're dabbing through the whole thing. That kind of cringe. But yeah.
Yuri,
like,
do you suffer from androphobia?
Yeah, like some of the characters sound like they're too old. Some of the things just don't make any sense.
I know how to fix your PTSD. Kick me in the balls.
Do it. Let me kick you in the balls, actually.
Yeah, and then they swap back. Like, it's interesting to have like a body swap story, but I feel like I saw a better one of these being fan dubbed, and then they just randomly quit fan dubbing it. Not this series, a different series.
I'm gonna be real. I'm kind of mad that the body swapping stopped.
Me too.
1, because it was the most interesting phenomenon in the show.
Oh.
And 2, because the second phenomenon was the most nothing phenomenon I've ever seen. The
Mhm.
characters did not shift. We were just told that it's like, oh yeah, they're acting different.
Yep.
Wait.
They
That was
can't
the body
control
swap.
their desires, aka
Oh yeah, the
they're
designer one.
teenagers now.
That one was so forgettable. I jumped over that one and went straight to the age one. And was like,
Mhm.
you're talking about them swapping ages? That was actually pretty interesting. It couldn't have been a solid story like the body swapping one. If that was the whole thing throughout the whole show, it would probably be a lot
The body
solid.
swapping
No,
one just
3
made me wish
episodes only.
it made me wish I was watching Your Name, and I hate
No, no.
Your Name.
No, there's a I can't remember. It's like Siren and the Seven Witches or something. That's basically the whole plot. Is just
Yamada-kun
he's
and the
able to.
Seven Witches?
I don't remember this show's name. It's been like over 5 years. The people who were fan dubbing it stopped. Probably got a DMCA, but the episodes never got taken down.
Sure.
I'm looking through my subscriptions. Hopefully, it's still there.
Uh,
That was the name of the anime I'm talking about. It never got dubbed.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
God, I hate it.
we were all disappointed with the dub. Did anyone watch the sub?
I watched the sub.
How was it?
I couldn't find it on the channel I was watching it on. The
I mean,
site that I go for.
Sub, how was it?
Yeah, I think the sub was completely fine.
Cool. Ellie,
Like-
what happened? What is the scandal? Tell us, please.
Please, we need something to talk about.
Otherwise, we'll have to start actually discussing the show.
Nobody wants that, Ellie.
The fuck for this guy.
All right. Let's go ahead and get into it, I guess, because I would like to get to episode, I think it was 10 as quickly as possible.
I can't wait to get to episode 5 and just pop off about how Iori is like that is the cruelest thing you could possibly do to someone, and the show posits that's a good thing, and I'm like, this bitch needs to die. And I was like, okay, cool.
Kokoro Connect episode summaries. Do we want to talk about the OP at all?
It sure is an OP.
It sure
There's got
did
a rainbow in
introduce
it.
some of the episodes.
Compared to that, actually, that's a good one to suggest. I haven't finished it. I need to. Compared to one anime, I'll suggest where the OP changes with every episode. This one was rather quite bland for the subject matter.
Mm-hmm. I really liked the shots of all of them in front of the chalkboard with the different writing on it.
I just wish that was translated for me.
Oh, it was for me.
Yeah.
It didn't say... I didn't actually go back and, thoroughly read it, but it was just character building stuff. Man, did Ellie really just leave? God.
Maybe they're just not listening closely enough.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I found the series. I'll post a link for the series for another time.
All right.
In my honest opinion, this fan dub is a lot better than that official one.
So I
Not
really
the
liked
Conus.
the shots of each of them in front of the chalkboard. I think that had potential. Did anybody actually read what was on the board, thoroughly?
Yeah, we read.
Like I said, mine wasn't translated,
Mhm.
so I had no idea what it ever said.
I don't read.
Yeah.
I tried to because I knew it would come up, but it never read out.
From what I could tell, it was just nothing.
Oh, come on.
I mean, I thought it was amusing, but I'm not entirely sure if the show suggests that each color of the chalk on the board is correlated with any character, because there's only 4 colors,
Mm-hmm.
but obviously 5 characters. But
is
I imagine
weird.
there might be something insightful there if you actually looked at it more closely.
Probably.
It's another way to tell the characters apart, because besides the hair, they all look the same.
It's been 7 years.
It was that era.
The girls, yeah.
I don't know. The guys also look pretty similar.
I wouldn't agree.
It's not
But
as
the
bad
girls
as the
definitely
girls,
have-
but the guys
There's-
aren't too different.
There's only 2 main guys, and the main difference between them is one's kind of free spirited and a pervert, and the other one's just
The other one's boring.
yeah.
The other one is incredibly boring,
Okay.
but it goes back to that typical 2012 anime thing where every girl falls for him anyway. But at least in this case, he kind of listens to their problems a little.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
then
he
they
also
say that,
really-
hey, you listen to our problems too much. And it's like, okay, cool. Do you want to, like, alleviate the burden on him? No, we just don't need to talk about our problems. It's like, that's the whole point of the show!
You listen to our problems too much. Like, okay, then stop telling me.
But to be honest, like he does kind of forcefully try to help a lot. I feel
Absolutely,
like.
he does. And I
There
wish
are
we had
times-
gotten into that more.
Yeah, they kept like bringing it up as like, oh, this is a really big problem for you, and it's like, are you going to like finally address this
Are
problem?
we gonna finally get into the main character's trauma? No.
No.
Okay, cool.
The main
Yori
character has
needs
trauma.
more trauma resolution.
Let's
Her mom,
self-insert
guys.
Can't believe her mom just killed that guy.
I can't believe her mom just killed that guy on 5th Street.
Yep. No, she went out that door with a gun, and we just heard bang bang. Like, whoa, that's not where I expected the show to go.
That's where it ended.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get
I would have
into it.
respected it. I would have respected it if Iori died. I felt it would have been melodramatic, but I'm like, okay, at least you're trying to do something.
Like if she died in the first arc, at the end of the first arc.
Yes.
That would have been better for the season finale if they stretched out that whole body swapping thing the whole season.
Sure. I do
Yeah, I
think it
feel like
would have
that
been
would be
great for
stretching out too
episode
much.
4 or whenever it happened, if the rest of the series were a discount Anohana where they were still swapping bodies. Can you imagine that?
Is that a thing in Anohana? I forgot.
No.
I was so
no, they don't
excited.
swap bodies in Anohana.
I was so excited for the premise, whereas
Oh, that would be
you know
great.
we'll get into it when we get to episode 5. We'll get into it when we actually start talking about the episodes.
Mm-hmm, sure. Let's go ahead and start that then. OP was nothing.
Yeah. Like, it has nothing to do with the
Like-
series. It doesn't show any previews. It doesn't really give you a
Episode
good idea of the character.
1. Hearts connect random people. The life of Yamaboshi High Cultural Club members Taichi Yaigashi, Iori Nagase, Himiko Inaba, Yoshifumi Aoki, and Yuri Kiriyama starts to change when all of a sudden their bodies begin to swap. A being known as Heartseed possesses their teacher Ryuzen Goto and states that he is responsible for the phenomenon where their bodies swap randomly. The phenomenon name is changing personalities. What a description.
I
Found
mean,
it.
it's true.
Sorry.
That's what happens.
That is what happens.
Wait, but is that everything?
That is, I'm looking at the manga actually.
Yeah. you should
That's
scroll down to the
volume 1
episode
of the
list.
manga. I have committed a sin. I'm sorry.
Yes, you have to read now.
Yes, here we go. Episode 1, a story that had already begun before anyone realized it. That sounds more right. Taichi Yaigashi, Iori Nagase, Himiko Inaba, Yuri Kiriyama, and Yoshifumi Aoki. Our first-year high school classmates and members of the Student Cultural Society. As Taichi, Iori, and Himiko try to brainstorm a new topic for our news article, Yoshifumi and Yuri later arrive in the club room and claim they have temporarily swapped bodies from the previous night. Taichi, Iori, and Himiko are pretty skeptical of this, but when Yuri goes to a classroom to retrieve a notebook it assumed proved to be real when Taichi suddenly switches body with Yuri and briefly gets hit on by the class president, Maiko Fujishima. After spending the rest of the afternoon convincing Himiko what had happened is real, Taichi and Yuri eventually switch back to their original bodies before the 5 of them leave school and return to their homes.
You need to get even faster, man.
Okay.
I'm joking. But yeah, that's basically the whole synopsis of the episode.
That is what happens. So
As
Oh, you missed the part about the fan service part where after they swap bodies, he does that to her breast for a couple seconds.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
I'm going to say
Hey,
something indefensible
that-
here, but I don't think you can make a body swap story without doing that.
No, I can't deny that.
doing what now?
I want to hear the explanation for that. Please go ahead.
Like, obviously you
Please.
can, but I think, like, if anybody switches bodies, the first thing they're going to do is, like, put their hands on the body that they're in, like, this is not mine, this is new.
They're gonna, in some ways, yeah, it's either gonna be like squeezing different proportions they know is different, like say wrists, arms, chest, thighs.
Like, if I suddenly had boobs, I would say, oh shit, I've suddenly got boobs, that's new. At
Are you
least in
kidding
this
me? Like, the first time I realized I had boobs now, I started touching those fuckers.
Yes, of course.
It's natural for almost anyone to start messing with something that's completely new on their body.
Jam Salt basically said everything. Actor for Heartseed got bullied publicly. What do you mean Jam Salt said everything? Jam Salt said nothing. What do you mean? The show's mid, even if I like the concept and some of the characters. Jam Salt says publicly, and then we cut to Kind Loner saying, I love listening to people yap about an anime I've never heard, LMAO. Jam Salt says nothing until the show would have benefited by making the characters bigger dickheads. Am I missing something? Is there more in chat that I'm not seeing?
It's
I
not
mean-
showing anything different for me too.
Maybe just the publicly is supposed to imply that the actor for Heartseed, whoever it is, got bullied publicly.
It's English, motherfucker.
So-
Can you believe it?
So real quick, I kind of want to talk
Right.
about
Yeah.
one of the big side characters of the show,
Fukushima.
Oh, God.
Fujishima.
Yes.
Yeah,
She made the whole thing for me.
she did. Even though her trope is like, aren't gay people weirdos and creepy? And I'm like,
I mean, she's a solid character. It's just that trope doesn't
She is
date really that
obviously tropey, but like the show.
I do it. I think she's unintentionally funny, where it just like she
Mhm.
sexually assaults another classmate, and then as soon as like another classmate like pulls her out of that situation, they run away. She goes, "What the hell?" Like, girl, I know your dad's a police officer, but that doesn't mean you can assault everyone.
In America, it does.
well. That's actually true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I would say is even more surprising is that this sexual assault doesn't go anywhere. Like, no one reports her for it. They don't talk about it later. She never tries to do anything similar again. So it's just like a one-off thing in the first episode.
Yeah,
Well, she suggests that she wants to, but she's not going to do it without them giving her good reason.
like they did the first time.
And I mean, there's
Yeah.
other like school life animes where what she tries to do is kind of done commonly by some character.
Is done commonly by some characters.
Oh, of course.
There's a couple animes I can think of where like they're doing a shower scene and like they just start like, she's complimenting how bigger they are than hers as
That's
she's rubbing them.
practically a trope at this point. Well, I say
Yeah.
at this
I mean, I
point.
feel like
That was practically a trope back in 2005.
I feel like that's still very different from actually just going to grope her, which is what
I'm
she did.
talking about
Okay.
groping girls. I'm talking
Ellie
about
finally-
a girl coming up behind another girl and grabbing her boobs and saying, "Oh,
Yes.
these are big," or something
Aren't
like
those
that.
lesbians wacky?
Wacky.
Looks like Ellie finally said something. They auditioned him, making him think he would get a good role by asking him to do PR stuff, and then humiliated him publicly. Do you know what I'm saying? This all. So I think they're talking about one of the voice actors.
The
I'm not
voice
sure if
actor
it
for
was...
Heartseed, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm
So-
sure that was a big deal at the time. I don't know what happened.
Me either.
Yeah, I don't really have an impression of what that
Uh,
consists in. I guess it doesn't really matter for the show itself, I
Okay,
guess.
Fujishima though.
Yeah.
Despite being
She's-
a bad stereotype of a lesbian, her character was characterful in a way that the other characters just weren't.
It's
She had a
because she was
personality.
She was written as a character
I
and
was-
not a piece of trauma with a character around it.
Like, only
guess,
one of
but
the
that's
main
just because
characters
she was
had
sized
trauma
up
that
for-
I personally found interesting, and that was Aoki Fujiyama Yoshifumi. Aoki Yoshifumi.
What was his again?
His was, hey, when I was young, this girl I had a crush on moved away, and now there's this other girl who looks like her a little bit, and I've inadvertently put all of my feelings on her, and this is weird trauma. And that had potential, and it was the one they explored the absolute least. That
They
resulted in
just had
the
him-
funniest scene in the show.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
we'll
they-
get to it.
I mean, they. Well, yeah, we'll get to. I won't be. They did get the PR guy, the plant guy, did put it best. He's the most useless character out of the group.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think
ExPoint,
even
real,
Percy says that at
ExPoint,
one
real
point.
fast. Was this in the anime club chat? Was this one ever suggested?
In the what?
In the anime club chat, was the link I posted ever suggested? For the
School
anime?
Live? I don't
Yeah.
think so.
I'll put that in for the next one then, since I won't be here for the vote.
Okay, I like School
I mean,
Live.
the same. Yeah.
Well, going back to like episode 1,
Yeah.
I do like shocker. I'm the one who likes body swap stories.
I mean, if they're good or consistent, I like them too.
Body swapping
But-
just has a lot of potential. But yeah, go
It has
on.
a lot
Yeah,
of potential.
it has a lot of room for me to explore my feelings on certain subjects.
Mhm.
I wonder what those could be. Anyway, I do enjoy. I think this is probably the best episode of the show. Unironically, like as an actual good episode,
Sure.
just because it's them trying to like discover this weird phenomenon and
It's a good
going
setup
over
episode.
the premise of the show. And I believe we also get to meet up with I guess the main antagonist to the show too.
Do we, or is that
Is
that's
that
the
episode
next
2?
episode?
No. He comes in right at the end.
Right at
and
the
he's
end.
like,
Right at
I
the
don't know
end.
if I'd agree with that. I'm not sure I'd say Heartseed is a villain or an antagonist, really.
I mean,
He's-
he
Artsy- but he's
is
an
an
antagonist.
antagonist.
He's an
Um,
antagonist.
I mean-
He can't really say he's a villain, but he's an
I
antagonist.
think you can say
Antagonist
he's a
and villain
villain.
aren't the
I don't
same
think
thing.
you have to have bad intentions to be a villain.
But I mean, like, in what sense is he an antagonist? So, like, if
He causes
what
the
the
conflict.
protagonist?
Yeah, that's what the definition of an antagonist is: someone who causes conflict. Correct one.
Someone who pushes the story
Okay,
forward.
I guess in that sense.
Yeah, protagonists react to the actions of the antagonist. That is how most stories usually go.
Mm-hmm. There's only one
If the-
exception, I think.
If the protagonist is the person who reacts to the conflict, then the protagonist of Kokoro Connect is me.
Yes, because I am. My eyeballs are conflicted right now, and I want to turn
I
off.
would like to stop.
I would like to stop watching this
But
anime.
not
but
in episode 1, though. In episode 1, I still had hope.
in
Because
episode 1, yeah, I had some red flags, like with the
Yeah,
with
like, it was very
Fujishima
clearly
and
a melodrama. Like, this
No,
is a teenage drama fest. We aren't expecting anything great here, but like a lot of the setup was really good. I mentioned the cinematography in the first episode is something I mentioned. There were a bunch of interesting cuts right at the beginning where they meshed all the characters' lives together. The one that I mentioned was there's a cut from one cup of tea hitting the table to a different one. I don't know. I just like that a whole lot. And the music created this really
Oh, that's
somber atmosphere.
That's actually a good example of a good transition. It comes with sound, visual cues. Something I need to study more of.
Something that I really love in anime is also all of the off-brand businesses. They had Baskin Robin in this one.
yeah.
That's one
Oh,
you
I
don't
should-
see.
I should have tried to
I've
pay more
got
attention to that, but it's hard when
A screenshot here. Let me share it with the chat. Open link.
yeah.
Let's see.
Wow, we're already done talking about episode 1, aren't we? Huh?
Oh,
This
basically.
does.
No, actually,
Well,
there is
happened
another thing I'd like to mention. Baskin Robin. Baskin Burr Robin.
God, I even saw that and I never read it.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, what I wanted to point out about episode 1 is the way that they introduced the characters in the body swapping. Because one thing about a teenage melodrama is that everybody has a personality that is strong and distinct enough to carry a body swapping show without having to say, like, oh, you're Aoki right now, aren't you, every time. And I forget exactly what scene it was. But there was one point. It was in episode 3, I mentioned it. Yeah. Okay.
What are you thinking of?
I mentioned the video recording scene, which was really funny.
Oh,
In
that
episode
was
3.
that was a good twist. The thing that got me kind of weird is like, that was like episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good thing. I just kind of don't like how like the guys backed off so easily. They're like, "I'm gonna run around." They the girls threatened to run around naked as them,
Mm-hmm.
and my first thought was like, "If you do that, I'm gonna do the same thing to you."
Yeah, like that's not a threat. Like
I
it's
think
not a
it's so
threat that
fucking
you.
weird that this
They
was.
did the
I'll go into it later, but I think it's so weird how this scene was completely forgotten when they went over like Inaba's quote unquote trauma.
Which was what again?
She cares too much, but
Oh,
different from
she's
main
emo,
guy.
right?
Yeah, she believes that these guys are going to like absolutely destroy my friends are going to absolutely ruin my life and I can't trust them for anything.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into why I think Inaba is the best character for all of the wrong reasons. We'll get into it later, but she is a sociopath.
That
I
makes
I
good.
I do not think I legitimately think this. The author definitely didn't intend for her to be a sociopath, but that's what she is.
Mr. Go is the best character.
He's
End
pretty
of
cool.
stream. We've done it.
no,
We've done it. We solved anime.
we can't. I can't even argue with that because in the OVAs, he's a saxophone god.
Oh, amazing. I love that. No, Mr. Go is the best character because he just sits there at his desk eating his soba and taking in all this drama.
No, he literally just when they like
really.
go to report just like, hey, we're having some issues, and then it's just like he's just like, okay, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna stand there, try to look sad, and pretend like I'm scolding you
Mhm.
while I eat my soba because it'll start to get cold otherwise.
I
and
can't stop
soggy.
eating my soba, so just go ahead and trauma dump. And like, it was so real when he said, I don't want the other teachers to look down on me.
He is the most relatable. I wonder if
Mhm.
is he the same character in the subbed version?
Dunno, I didn't watch it.
It's
I
too
know.
bad he gets like 2 lines of dialogue and
Yep.
then gets body jacked for the
What do you
rest of
mean
the
if he-
show.
What was
Huh?
that, Tenek?
What do you mean if he's the same character? Like if he has the same mannerisms?
No, like if like you know how sometimes subs and dubs are really different. I noticed a lot of parts in in the dub that are like, "Hey, this is a really American way of saying something," or stuff like that. I was wondering if like his character was different,
I
or
get
if
the
he said something
feeling
different
that
for that scene.
I get the feeling he's the type where he's meant to be seen as probably someone like with like a Kansei dialect, where he's probably someone more from like the boonies or southern Japan.
Yeah, he's definitely not supposed to be someone respectable. And I love what Heartseed had to say about him, which is like they ask Heartseed, "Why do you keep taking over our teacher?" or something like that, and he said, "There are very few people who wouldn't question these gaps in their memory."
Yeah.
Does he just have a bad memory, or does he get drunk all the time? We don't know.
No, he
And
just goes
honestly,
with it. It's like, well, don't remember that. Guess that's normal.
In the dub, there's a good point where it kind of points us out. He's like, "Hey," when they first go talk to him after he was first taken over, they're like, he's like, "I was just sitting here the whole time doing paperwork," and then he looks down, and is like, "Oh, what happened to all my paperwork? I thought I organized this." So it kind of shows like
When did it get so late?
Yeah, I think he just gets lost in thought
Yep.
too often. And that also fits with the OVA because he's a saxophone god.
Should we just go on to episode 2 if we're talking about Heartseed? All right.
Yeah.
I think so.
Episode 2, Some Fascinating Humans. The next morning, Himiko, Yoshifumi, and Yui all switch bodies together, then soon revert to normal after the gang are excused from absence in class. Taichi briefly ends up switching paceless with Yui before getting grilled by Iori over what happened the previous day while he was in her body. There's just then the gang is approached by someone who had swapped bodies with their homeroom teacher, Ryuzen Goto, calling himself Heartseed, who is revealed to be responsible for the body swapping, vaguely explaining the situation before leaving. A week later, the group discusses how better to handle the situation when it turns to someone else suspicious. As Iori swaps bodies with Yoshifumi, she talks with Taichi about how the switching may affect their individuality before she switches back the next day. As Taichi and Himiko switch bodies, they end up volunteering off-campus cleaning duty with Maiko. Himiko decides to get revenge against Taichi and declare that that Iori is hers while in Taichi's body.
Okay, I was wrong. It was episode 2.
Okay, so there's a lot to go over about this episode.
Yes.
One, I love Inaba, but Heartseed is like probably intentionally the funniest character.
Unironically, an amazing antagonist. I love
He's meant
this.
to.
I love this
He's
villain.
he's practically just a force of nature villain. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing the cast can do to stop him.
Like,
He's just there. It's like, yeah, this. I just kind of want to fuck with some kids right now because that'd be funny.
I just
like,
want to watch a soap opera in real life.
I understand the reasons as to why that they explained further in the OVAs, but I think it's way better that it's just some eldritch entity that thinks it's hilarious to fuck with high schoolers.
Oh, it's not explained in the OVA at all.
No,
Oh, then it's explained on the wiki. Oh no.
Oh.
I-
Which
that-
probably
I
means
guess
it's
the
in
wiki-
the manga?
I guess
Probably.
if the manga gets that far.
I mean, I can go over it right now.
Sure. What does the
researched.
manga say?
The manga says that the heart seeds and whatever they are basically just an other entity similar to humans, but with a lot of powers, and as they put it, can no longer evolve. So they watch humans and force them to change, so they can get an understanding of how to evolve themselves.
My money was on
Okay.
aliens.
That doesn't make any sense, but okay.
Yes, correct. So it's way better if you just think of them as eldritch entities that like fucking with high schoolers.
Mhm.
Again,
But-
my money was on aliens, which they kind of are too.
I think they say that they're aliens.
No,
Okay. Cool. I'll back off.
they kind of just say like we are what we are, and that's all we really are.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
And then-
but on the wiki, it says that they are from the Earth. Like they live naturally on planet Earth.
Sure.
All right.
I'll buy
Well,
it. Whatever.
I mean, they compare themselves to flowers. What were they, like a sentient form of the flowers?
Well,
that advanced?
I think the heart seed comparison. I think he just named himself because it's it's thematic. I
Mhm.
say just like spreading my hands out like I'm SpongeBob talking about imagination.
No, it's the. Oh, it was the imagination. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that so many times. I think it got swapped with a rainbow.
This invites another wonderful line when Inoba at the end of episode 1 says, "What does an obscure plant have to do with this?" As if it actually does. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it
part of the
doesn't.
preview of the next
Real
episode. Like,
It,
and
it-
we never
it
find out.
doesn't. That's a heart seed prank. You get pranked.
Get pranked, bro.
What even is a heart seed?
There's a link in the
It's a plant.
Wikipedia article of the show. Oh, it links to Heartseed's character. Cool. I'm not going to look it up
It's
then.
apparently just like a flower that represents growth and like understanding with other people.
Sure.
Okay.
Again, like, I was really expecting this show to be a lot more up its ass philosophical than it wound up being.
I really was at least I would be able to dig into that a bit.
Yep.
But
Like,
there really isn't
especially
much
in
to
this
dig
episode, when Iori goes on her explicit philosophical rant about, like, what is personal identity. If you look at me right now,
that was so insane how they just went in on that and then just like, I could see that being like, I don't think this show could do it justice, but I
Sure.
think that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Where will you go with that show? And the show winked at me and just dropped it.
no, it was
just
it was
like-
Iori's trauma because she always she code switches in different situations, and that makes her an inconsistent person.
That may, and we will never ever get to see it except for when she turns into a child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when Iori is in Aoki's body and she says, like, when you look at me, you think that I'm Aoki, but on the inside, I'm Iori. So who am I really? And then the main character says the most unhinged thing, which is just, I promise I will always be able to recognize you for who you are. And then later, when she's in someone else's body and he's like, oh, hey, Inoba, when she's pretending that Inoba is in her body, And she's like, oh, okay, you're Inoba then. Sorry. She screams and runs out of the room. Because he promised to
that's reasonable.
always recognize her.
Yeah,
We'll get into that and how that's like the hugest breach of trust you could possibly do to a person.
Get
but
pranked, bro.
that's the show. The show is just pranked.
I did love Inoba in this episode. When the hell is his name, main character Kun? Taichi. When Taichi volunteers for cleaning duty and accidentally volunteers Inoba for cleaning duty.
That's so funny.
Yep,
that's good body swapping
good.
material.
Like, I like when they play with that idea that the body swapping is being caused intentionally by an external entity. So Heartseed can make it happen at comedic moments. That's something they don't delve into nearly enough.
And then when they go into it and Inaba and Taichi are helping each other and she talks about like why would you bother doing this? And it's just like
nobody else did.
Nobody else did. And it's like, why do you like wrestling? And then he's like, because I like jobbers. And it's just like and then Inaba goes, you're an insane freak.
You're a selfless freak.
You're a selfless freak, and I'm like, that's a pretty normal person. And then Inaba is just like, everyone is my enemy. How can you possibly help other people? And I'm like, Inaba, are you insane?
Do you have a problem, Inoba?
And then I do think it's very hilarious how Inaba uses Taichi's body to protect Iori from, her assaulter. I'm sorry, I mean Fujishima.
Yeah.
Wait, are you talking about the thing from episode 1 now?
Episode 2. Where Inaba uses Taichi's body to say, Iori is mine. And then she's like, why did you make me say that, Inaba? Well, you already love Iori, so it's fine. And I'm like, are you actually insane?
Inoba, nobody loves Iori. Are you kidding?
It's also just like, you don't just set up people like that. You don't just like, well, obviously you two are in love, so I'm going to play matchmaker with your own body. Like, girl, you are the reason for your own problem.
I honestly fail to see the big problem right there.
You don't just like force people into a relationship because you think they're good together.
Like, even if it's very obvious that they're into each other, you don't swap bodies with them and confess, like, your undying love. That's not something that's done.
Sorry.
Let's see. Iori swaps bodies with Yoshifumi. Unhinged rant about identity. See, these people just need to realize that identity is fake. There is no such thing as a person.
It's all in our minds.
Iori's problem, right? Because Iori does believe that she lacks something like an identity. And that's what she's afraid of losing. I guess realizing the fact that she's kind of empty inside. And that comes even more into, like, it's more of a feature of the OVA especially.
Which is very interesting. They just don't do anything with it.
No, yeah, I could absolutely see, like, the problem is like, I'm hearing Iori's problem and, like, my brain just goes, archetypes. You're thinking of archetypes. It's a psychological term. It's a real thing. You're thinking of archetypes.
I think she's thinking more of code switching. Just kind of being extreme about it.
No, yeah, like, there is a psychological phenomenon of, like, your brain getting messed up and selecting the wrong personality for certain things. But they don't do that there. That's not what this is. That's not what this show. We're getting, like, locked into a personality. But, like, people have different personalities for different situations.
You know what would have been really cool? Episode 1. Fujishima starts sexually assaulting Iori, and Iori goes with it. because she knows that she wants to please Fujishima. She's a people pleaser.
Yeah, and
And well then,
the other thing is like it's Iori's a nothing character.
Yes.
Her problem is not real.
Mm-hmm. Well,
She
has
says that
real
she has
problems.
a problem. She has a problem, but the show never does anything substantial with it. So in the show that we are watching, it is not real.
sure. This isn't an excuse, but it would be difficult for this show to actually explore the code switching thing because she always hangs out with the same people. We would have to get more one-on-one interactions between her and different members of the group, and we would have to make her more of a main character. I think it's a great choice of trauma for a body swap story. They just don't handle it anywhere near well enough, I don't think.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I wouldn't feel like I agree. If anything, I feel like the show has an opposite problem, at least when it comes to the OVA, because like my impression was by the end of the first arc, this issue she has with an absence of kind of like an identity to anchor her, that's solved, and that's why it doesn't really come up anymore because they reaffirm their friendship and she can believe that she's not just loved because she's a fake person. But then it comes up again later, and that felt like it undid it.
It's the Chunibyo problem, where they solve everything at the end of season 1, but then a second season is greenlit, so they have to undo everything they did.
Maybe. I mean, here it felt more like it was maybe an issue with the source material, because I don't have the impression that the OVA is original.
I really think Iori should have been a main character and then died in episode 5.
Yup. Dying in episode 5 would have been great.
Like,
I feel like
the whole crew working on her trauma and like helping her with her psychological hang-ups, and then they all have their goodbyes. And also I think again, it's never mind, we'll get into it later. Episode 5 is coming soon.
At least we fixed her first.
I would say that if they really wanted to do that, that would have been better for like a mid-season, in-between season cliffhanger or something.
Well, there's only one season, and episode 5 is mid-season?
Not mid-season. No, 6 is mid-season, technically.
Okay.
7, whatever.
Actually, 7 would be. There's almost 14.
Okay. Should we move on to episode 3? I think we've talked episode 2 to death.
Is episode 3
Yeah.
where I should give the trigger warning?
Is it?
For anyone in chat?
Because she gets kicked in the nuts? Or no, he gets... Well, I guess...
No, because we're going to be talking about a very delicate subject.
I'm not sure this is where all of the sexual assault trauma that we're going to be talking about comes up.
Well, I'll just say it now because you brought it up. Hey, chat, we're gonna have to talk about sexual assault. So if a trigger, if that's a trigger warning for you, please leave the stream.
What Scrub said. I don't think it's episode 3. Let's find out.
Yeah, just read the
Episode
summary.
3, Jobber and Low Blow. As Taiji questions Himiko about what she said in front of Maiko, she implies to Taichi that he has feelings for Iori while also worrying about how the body swapping could eventually break them. Later, Taichi and Yoshifumi learn Yui has androphobia, the fear of men at night. As Taiji switches with Yui, they meet up at a park when she reveals she gained the fear after almost being raped in middle school, believing that she could not beat a man in a fight. Wanting to help her get over her fear, Taichi teaches Yui the crotch is the one weakness all men possess. The next day, as Yui becomes a bit more confident and decides to take up martial arts again, Himiko suddenly collapses before Taichi. Scrub wants this one. Go ahead.
Hi. Hold on. Okay, so...
Yui, do you suffer from androphobia?
Do you suffer from androphobia? That's the nice way to put it. Like, I get that is true. I think it's actually brilliant how they bring it up with one of the guys just noticing, hey, Yui, every time I swap into your body, I notice you're shaking a lot. Like, are you okay? Like, that's brilliant.
It is, especially because it focuses entirely on a physiological response.
The author was so close to figuring it out.
There are so many parts of this show that could have been very good.
But yeah,
But no, it wasn't instead.
We eventually learn, because of course, with a trauma like this, her first response obviously is to not bring it up.
Mhm.
Like, if you have a trauma like this, the human brain is designed to just not go into it.
Yeah, you typically don't bring it up. Some people do, but most people don't.
So it takes a while, but then Tai Chi eventually learns about it, which, okay, just like bad choice. It should have been Aoiki, but you know.
You should have explicitly had this conversation with Aoki years ago.
Yeah. But let's not get into that. Anyway, so then Tai Chi just talks about it for a while and then says, "Hey, I'm gonna kick you in the nuts because we're swapped bodies right now." And Yui goes, "Excuse me?" Which is like, first of all, for somebody who was assaulted like that, bad idea to just say, I'm going to touch you in a way, I'm going to assault you. Like,
But
first
it's not
of all,
really assault.
it is assault!
No, maybe it's violent. It's definitely physical violence, but it's not sexual assault.
Nobody said
not
sexual assault. It is assault, though.
It is
Okay,
just
I get
regular. It's regular assault.
It's
It doesn't
regular
matter if
assault.
He doesn't matter if he's doing it to himself, his
And
own
then,
body.
yeah,
He's
and then
doing it to himself with someone else's in his body.
And then they swap back, so Tai Chi's the one who feels getting kicked in the balls the most.
Fantastic. That was really good.
Heartseed said #pranked.
Yep.
It would have been somewhat. I'm not sure if it would have been helped as much, but it would have been somewhat funnier if, like, right before he kicked her, they swapped. So
And, like,
but then she could have stopped the kick.
Yeah, I'm fine with, like, that, but the problem is like, the show expects that to be, like, a good, like coping mechanism for the trauma. It's like, hey, now you know it won't happen again, which is like, that's great. She could have had a taser or something, but the trauma's still there. Like, that doesn't help a person. That helps prevent, like, future scenarios, but the trauma they experienced is still there. They still have those memories, and the show does nothing ever to like, help her work on it besides very later on in, like, episode 11. But then the show, like, it really just kind of acts for a while like everything is fine now because she learned to kick men in the balls. Her PTSD is gone for now. And I have so much beef with that.
So, this isn't the biggest problem I have with the scene, but it's the thing that bothers me the most. Did she not know? How had she never heard of kicking men in the balls before? How old is she?
They're all like, feels
They're all
like
15, 16, 17?
Yeah, they're first years, so they have to
with
be
a
around,
martial
like,
arts background.
also implying that, like, after an assault like that, like a sexual assault like that, I don't know about Japan, in all honesty, but in America, she absolutely would be enrolled in a self-defense class like that.
I'm not sure about that, because, like, the way the series presents the core of her trauma is that she felt like she was weak and could not ever be strong again, which is why the kick in the balls thing, quote unquote, worked within the presentation of the narrative. Because her big issue was that she was physically powerless. That's why she quit the martial arts class, because she felt like it was pointless. So I don't think she would have enrolled in any kind of self-defense class, especially since she quit her self-defense class as a result of this.
That's fair.
Like, I understand what the series was trying to do. It just doesn't line up with how real life works in a way that's very tasteless. But I do want to say, one thing I like about this scene is that it is very adolescent. I don't think that's on purpose, but I can definitely see two real teenagers having this exact exchange.
You mean when having their bodies swapped?
Yes, when your bodies swap in real life, I could see this happening.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Mhm.
Usually, I would say that most of the time, there is a switch that says, all right, well, the character has to explain their trauma, and now that we have turned on that trauma switch, they are not a character, they are a dialogue box. But this one actually did feel a lot better. I don't think it's good still, but it does feel like two teenagers trying to fix things.
Yes. If this hadn't worked as well as it did, it would have been an amazing scene. End of stream.
Just end
of stream. Dropping my mic. We're done. Is there anything else that happens in this episode? Or do we want to keep talking about this?
I mean,
The video recording scene.
We get to see the one girl's dog.
Dog. I don't remember a dog.
It's right after he's on the ground and the...
Right.
Oh, right. The class
president sees
class
this
president.
happening.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, did I see you laying on the ground in the park having just had your balls kicked by a woman?
No, you didn't. Oh, I guess I didn't.
That wasn't me. Must be imagining things.
Oh, I guess I was. Skyrim NPC.
The video recording scene, which, again, I like a lot because it was very adolescent and irresponsible in a very believable way. While not explicitly going too far in a very tasteless way.
Yeah.
Like, what am I trying to say here?
You tell me.
No, what am I trying to say?
In a couple hours, the sun will rise.
It's teenagers.
It's teenagers. It's a very interesting violation of consent that happens before the sexual assault discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Inoba's reaction to it. Not the, I'll run around campus naked in your body. But when they beg her not to, she just says, die.
Again, Inaba's the best character in
Fantastic.
this show.
But this is also the episode where she says, don't expect to survive with your lives if you try that again.
It's so fucking good. Oh, it's so silly.
If we could just read this script without watching this show. Should we go to episode 4?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to bring up. Oh, well, just keep this scene in the back of your minds about like the recording a confession in somebody else's body.
Mm-hmm.
It's a surprise tool that'll help us later.
Right. Sure. Episode 4. Twin Feelings. As Taichi and Yuri escort Himiko home, Taichi is forced to spill the beans about what happened last night with Yui, leaving Yuri a bit shocked as she is unaware of Yui's androphobia. After dropping Himiko off, Yuri tells Taichi about the trouble she faced due to her mother, Reiki Nagase, constantly getting remarried, having to keep changing her persona to fit the tastes of others while eventually forgetting who she is, and she feels the body swapping would cause her to just fade away. The next day, Taichi confronts Himiko, who eventually reveals she cannot trust them to use another's body for evil deeds, hating herself for feeling this way. As Taichi tells Himiko she does not need to change who he is to be accepted by others, he tells her a secret about his lustfully... He tells her a secret about his lustfully thought of her and the other girls in the past. Moved by his confession, Himiko decides to share her issues with others and finds the others accept her. Why did Heartseed not switch Inoba's body when he confessed his secret?
Oh,
can you imagine him switching her with Aoki right then?
Oh, that's because as the show went on, they kind of just for some reason stopped body swapping. In episode 4 and 5.
Yep.
I mean, 5 makes sense, but like episode 4 is just like, yeah, we're just kind of done with that plot. They were bored of it.
No, Aoki gets switched with Inoba right as Taichi's like, I've masturbated thinking of you. And Aoki's like, I'm sorry, you've what? That's gonna make
And
the
then
whole...
she says she did the same.
And then Aoki says, so did I.
No, not Aoki. I think you're thinking of Inaba, right?
No, I was thinking if she had switched bodies. She did switch bodies with Aoki. That's my new headcanon. And the scene is exactly the same. Aoki just decides to say, yeah, bro, me too.
Me too. I masturbated to you too. Bisexual rights.
Like, I love that read because either Aoki is just saying it or he's saying it to prank Inoba.
Hashtag pranked.
Hashtag heartseed pranked.
So I think my favorite comment I posted in the discussion board in my notes is just Inaba's a sociopath.
Yep.
This
Just
scene,
because she has trust issues?
no.
Then why?
It is, well, I mean, I went over the last time where she seems to have a complete inability to understand the idea that humans can be helpful to each other for the sake of it. But also, she literally has a moment in this episode where she just is like walking back after noticing that, like, hey, you helped Yue a lot, Taichi. That's really cool of you. And Taichi's like, oh, yeah, well, we just kind of talked. It was nothing. Cool. Go help Iori's trauma while Iori is right there. Like, she just outs her for no reason. Just like, hey, solve our group's problems for me. Would you be a dear? Thanks.
Yeah,
That happened in episode 4?
Yes. That happened in episode 4 because it leads into them discussing Iori's problems, which I think we already covered a lot so far. But Inaba's problems are that she does not trust her friends at all, and that they could do something criminal, which is like, oh, is that more headcanon to just her sociopathy? It's like, no, because episode 3 proves her completely correct. Because they just had the guys make confessions in the girls' bodies.
Okay, but that's pretty innocuous.
That is,
like,
but it definitely, like...
But it
if
proves
I
her
were
point.
Inoba, I would not be comforted.
Yeah, I would not be
that.
comforted. I would be like, okay, these people are like, what's the line that these people won't cross? I don't know that line. I'm starting to think I don't know my friends.
Yep.
And it's just like, everyone's just like, oh yeah, that's cool. I totally get it. Like, you know what? That's the normal reaction. And it's just like, Inaba's trauma is completely justified. And also, we have no idea what caused that trauma. We just have to assume she just naturally believes that people will betray each other.
Yeah, I mean, like, the show's pretty clear on that. It's not really a trauma. It's just a character trait.
Yep. Does she have the conversation with Taichi about how altruism doesn't exist, or is that Aoki?
That would be
I'm
her.
pretty sure that's with her.
Yeah.
I don't think Aoki says anything like that.
I don't think
Maybe he
Aoki
says
says
something
anything
about-
worthwhile.
Okay, guys, I gotta get going.
Bye. We'll see you later.
Bye, Fire King.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll miss you.
Like, again, I say, like, Inaba is a sociopath, but, like, legitimately, I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think, actually, like, a normal, just sociopathic character who's just a guy and not a villain is kind of underused and should be used more in stories.
For sure. It's also great for this kind of story because it facilitates teenage melodrama very well. You have a character who doesn't really care for people's boundaries and who thinks that people are inherently untrustworthy, just going around causing problems and not even meaning to. It's great.
Wait, you're saying Inoba is the one causing problems, or she's the one who sees other people as causing problems?
Both, really.
Yeah, no. Inoba definitely causes problems. She facilitates problems. But yeah,
And
I
then
think
she-
that's a great character for this kind of story.
No, yeah, like legit, she is my favorite character because she is, I have to assume, accidentally written with sociopathic tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
And
but
again,
I mean,
that's not a problem.
well, first off, so Brian, just to make sure I'm understanding you right, when you're saying she's the one causing problems, you're just thinking of that one time she kind of made a proclamation of love for Yori in Taichi's body when they were talking with the class president.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking of that, but yeah,
That
that's
one,
another
yes.
great example.
That's another great example. Her just telling Taichi and Iori flat out, Iori has problems, you should go deal with
Mhm.
that.
But is that really causing problems? That's just kind of
her-
directing them.
It's facilitating problems.
No, yeah, it's
How?
you shouldn't do that to a person. Like if they have
mean-
trauma, it's something that they need to work out in their own time.
Mm-hmm.
That they need to choose to do. You can't force that sort of thing.
Yeah, you don't just say, hey, Jim, go handle Andy's problems, when Andy's like, what? I didn't tell Jim about my problems.
There's also later scenes that we'll get into about her own feelings to the main character and how her not, like, using that. She wants the group to stay together. So she just basically acts as, like, the orchestrator of everybody's feelings to make sure the group has the highest possible chance of staying together.
You're thinking, wait, what did she do that made you see her that way? Because
When she
I don't know.
she realized that, like, oh, I should play matchmaker for Iori and Taichi because even though I have
Yeah.
feelings for him, I think if those two stay together, then the group will stay together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is not
I don't know.
neurotypical thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that. I wouldn't disagree that Inaba is not neurotypical, or that she has a way of going about things that's definitely not normal. I'm not sure if I would say any of those are a problem. Like, for example, when she tells Taichi to deal with Yori's trauma right in front of her, it doesn't seem like Yori takes any issue with that.
Her taking
Which
an
would-
issue
if
with
she
it is
did-
not what makes it a problem.
Also, she does take issue
Absolutely.
with it because she
I
does
disagree.
say like, why would you promised you wouldn't say that in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it still doesn't become a problem. I mean, maybe okay. I guess we just have different notions of what
I
constitutes
understand
a
what you're
problem.
doesn't-
saying, I think. It doesn't
doesn't
cause
become a
conflict in the narrative.
No, yeah, it's not. It doesn't become a problem. It itself is a problem in terms of just that's not good behavior.
It's problematic. It's a problem.
Even if it works out, it's still a problematic thing to do.
Right.
It was an attempted problem.
Attempted problem.
An
You're under arrest for
unintentional
attempted
attempted
problems.
problem.
Okay, and I think
You're under
Oh,
arrest for
go
causing
ahead.
problems in the second degree.
right. I think just the second thing I wanted to comment on was so okay, Scrub. If I understand you right, you're saying Inaba is sociopathic because she has this way of trying to get people to do things the way she thinks would be the best, without, I guess, considering their feelings.
Yes.
Okay.
Episode 5.
Yeah. I'm not, yeah.
Should we move on to episode 5? Are we good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can go on.
All right. A confession and a death. Yoshifumi once again confesses to Yui, but she declines as she is not ready to date anyone yet. Iori pretends to have swapped bodies with Himiko to find out how Taichi feels about her after he says he likes their current relationship. Himiko walks in on them, causing Iori to run off in embarrassment. Taichi realizes his folly and chases after her, finding her on a bridge over the river. Taichi expresses his admiration for her and confesses to her, but Heartseed suddenly possesses her and forces her to jump off into the river, which results in her being hospitalized for intensive care. Heartseed, who then possesses Goto, tells the others Iori will soon die, allotting them 30 minutes to decide amongst themselves whose soul will die with her, giving them the ability to switch bodies on verbal request. As Iori swaps with Yoshifumi and learns of the situation, she offers to die in her own body, not willing to sacrifice anyone else. She spends time talking to everyone individually. She confesses to Taichi and kisses him while in Himiko's body. It turns out Iori managed to survive and that Heartseed planned out this whole ordeal. As Iori recovers from her injuries and returns to school, the gang assume body swapping has stopped, while Himiko gets revenge on Taichi for stealing her first kiss.
Wait,
What
how
an
does she get
episode.
revenge?
What?
I don't remember that.
Huh?
How does she get revenge?
I don't remember. Scrub?
Okay.
I don't remember.
Cool.
Let me see if...
Great. Fantastic.
I do have a lot to say about this episode, but I will
Naturally.
let you two go first.
Okay. Tenik, do you have anything in particular to say about this episode?
Yeah, I think I do. First off, I guess like we can talk more about the decision to not kill off Iori at this point. I don't know. I was hoping that like the show would go in two directions at this point, which is either kill Iori off for drama or try and force someone to die in Iori's place for drama that would, be the tension that would exist among them after the point
Yes.
where Iori didn't actually die.
Mm-hmm. For drama that will happen
But it
later.
doesn't really- Yeah.
I actually had an idea that I misread or I misinterpreted a line, and because of that, and because I didn't know the body swapping would just end this episode, I thought that the direction they were going was that Iori's body would die, but her mind would still be
Be
around
in the
to
rotation?
do body. Yeah, it would still be in the rotation. So essentially, like, Iori would just take over another body occasionally, and they would just be sent to the ghost dimension where they don't remember anything.
That would have been cool.
Essentially they just have a ghost possessing one of the other four,
And it's
just occasionally.
and the Kokoro Connect is that eventually 4 of the 5 of them die and all 5 of them share one body.
Oh,
I don't know if I go that far, but I just thought that
That's
it would
how
be really.
their Kokoros connect.
I just thought that like it would be an interesting idea to just have one of their body die, but like their mind's still in play.
Sure. I like that a lot. I don't think that facilitates the rest of a story. I think
It doesn't.
I think that would make the rest of the story very difficult. I love that Iori doesn't die and that Heartseed just shows up and says, "Yeah, I did this for lulz."
Hashtag Heartseed
pranked,
pranked.
You just find the
Just-
Heartseed's pranks amusing.
Yes, I do. I really
It's
do.
just funny because of the melodrama,
Yep.
and then suddenly he walks in and says, "Get pranked." This is the hashtag prank. You're on. Get
Heartseed.
punked. The cameras are in the potted plants.
Yeah.
Heartseed
it does
shows
make
up
another-
and says, like, "Yeah, sorry guys, I took it too far, I know." But don't you appreciate each other more now?
That's true. He did them a service, really. They
This
should be
is
thanking him for giving them all the phenomena he did.
this is the only time in the entire series when Aoki does anything impactful.
Where he starts bringing up the conversation about, hey,
Yeah, no, he
I
just-
think Iori should die.
I think it should be Iori.
Which is, like, fair, because
yeah,
I
no,
would...
like,
I think, like, if they went through with, like, Iori taking over somebody else's body, first of all, Iori would be absolutely, like, distraught about that sort of thing. And secondly, she would feel so out of place in somebody else's body.
Do you know how bad that would, like, affect her specific trauma?
Yeah, I do.
But yeah, I love that the only impact Aoki has on the narrative is just, I think we should kill Iori.
Like, obviously, he says it in a
Listen,
tactful way.
I hate to be that guy, but isn't Iori looking a little bit like a fifth wheel? Like,
I don't know. I mean, he doesn't really. Didn't he say it's just so it doesn't actually upset
Of
their
course.
lives?
No, yeah, like Aoki makes the best point in that
Yep.
entire thing.
Like, he's just gonna do this again, and we'll have to do it again. How about we just agree right now that we just
Okay.
let Heartseed decide who dies every time?
So, real quick, because I think we're just looping around making jokes about this. I
Uh-huh.
kind of want to circle back to the beginning of this episode, right?
Yeah.
With Iori tricking Taichi
Yes.
into believing that he's talking to Inaba.
What is this called? There is a word for this. It's, people interpret it to mean multiple... Is it multiple personality disorder? Is that what this is called? When somebody constantly does this testing of their friends to make sure they really care about them. Because only somebody who really cares about me would put up with this kind of treatment. Is that multiple?
It's the same kind of thing as like constantly saying sorry for just existing around other people.
But yeah, when Iori's in the club room and pretends that Inoba is in her body to test Taichi when he said that he would always recognize her, which was a stupid fucking thing to say in the first place.
This Iori is irredeemable in my eyes for this.
Irredeemable.
Irredeemable.
I don't think she is. I mean, Taichi is definitely saying something that's stupid, but...
No, yeah, Taichi's also a dummy
this
for
isn't
this,
Taichi's
but, like,
fault.
This isn't Taichi's fault, even though the show acts like it is. But the fact that she tricks him into believing that he is talking to a friend, that he can be open about certain topics, and she intrudes on that and lies to him in order to just gain this information, is one of the scummiest things you can possibly do to another person, and I hate it.
It is pretty evil, and I also haven't even been thinking about what she actually said. I've just been thinking about the fact that she was trying to prove that he didn't actually care about her.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I just don't share the same sentiment when it comes to this.
I understand why she did it. Like, I can see the fucked up gears clogging in her brain. That doesn't make it okay.
No, it's disgusting, and if that happened to me, I would feel so violated, not just for myself, but just for like Inaba too, just because like she just like used a friend like that to just make me say something I normally wouldn't say to that person. I felt like I was in a safe spot. I was talking about feelings I was okay with, and she just bashed those walls down.
Yeah, it's like logging into someone else's Discord account.
Essentially, I guess, yeah.
It's like pretending that... It's like saying that your little cousin got on the computer on your Discord account.
Wait, but wouldn't it be something like the opposite? Because... so like pretending that your nephew is using their Discord account when it really is just you pretending to be your nephew.
Like, when you're 12 and you say something that didn't get the reaction you wanted, and you're like, oh, that wasn't me, sorry, my little sister was at the computer.
Also, I brought it up in my notes of just, like, the immediate whiplash of that melodrama and Taichi running after her to Fujishima showing up and saying, hey, Taichi, I think we should talk about gay rights. Is it really wrong for a woman to love another woman?
What are you talking about?
I'm really great. I'm proud for you, but like this is not the time. And I was so angry and just hitting that.
I love how this gets brought up again when they go to visit Hina. And and Aoki says, like, yeah, I'm actually in love with someone else, and Hina points to Taichi, and they're like, no.
Okay, I
The
thought it
only
was
man that I
weird.
love is my dad.
She literally says in the dub like, "Oh, I thought that would it'd be weird if you loved another man." I'm like, "What's that? What's that supposed to mean?"
The
Just
year of our Lord 2012.
I was so angry, and then just hitting that line, just like m- my brain could not handle the sudden whiplash of emotions.
All right. So Iori's in the hospital bed, and everyone's like, yeah, we should probably kill Iori if we had to choose. And they're like, yeah, but Iori should probably know that we've chosen her to die.
I mean, she agrees to that as well,
Yeah,
right?
of course. But, like, if I were in that position, I'm not sure I would want them to call me in.
You think you would rather die in ignorance
Yeah,
of their
probably.
decision?
Like, yeah, we should probably have Iori come in, let her know the results of the vote. And then they do. And Iori kind of, sort of sexually assaults Inaba.
I was gonna be real. I was literally just like, I want to have a kiss before I die, and it's like, oh, are they gonna like, how are they gonna get the doctors out of the room? And then it's just like, oh wait.
Of course they aren't.
Yeah. I mean, but wait, does it really count as sexual assault if it was Iori in that body?
I mean,
see, that's the question, right?
It depends on how Iori treats it. And
it
she's
also
not happy
depends on
about
how
it.
Inaba feels about it.
Or Inaba.
This is only tangentially related to what you said about the doctors, but Mariah's watching this reality show about teen pregnancy, and there was this girl who got pregnant during COVID, and the doctors said you can only have one person in the room with you, and there was all this drama like, is it going to be the father or is it going to be her mom? And I'm sitting here like, it should be the doctor. Sorry, I just had to share how funny I am.
No, yeah.
Got the busting.
Yeah, I should do this for a job. All right. Whoa.
If I feel like I would like to bring up something now that I feel like it goes for the series in general. I probably should have brought it up last episode where it was more relevant. But I feel like what makes it kind of different than a lot of other, I guess, anime in general, maybe rom-coms in particular, is that all the teenagers are very like direct. They don't shy away from like sexual topics, but the show itself doesn't have a lot of fan service. So
that's true.
No, yeah. Anytime that the characters have gotten slightly like naked, it's just been kind of like, yeah, we're not really focusing much on anything that's like extreme. Like it's whatever. It's fine. Who cares?
Maybe
that is one thing about this show, is that I feel like it's taking itself seriously, which is part of what's so funny about it.
Yeah, I'm glad that it is, because if I had to see teenagers in the camera just ogled their bodies, I would be very uncomfortable.
Like, I don't feel like this show is taking advantage of the body swapping in a way that a lot of other shows probably would. I think it really does have themes that it wants to explore here, and a story that it wants to tell. Like, I think the person who wrote this was very passionate about it.
Yeah, I think that's what I feel like. Like the author wrote this show in order to help like teenagers in high school deal with their, I guess, emotional problems.
I don't know about that now. I think they liked the drama.
I mean, maybe, but I feel like that's how it's the way it's structured. I guess around each arc, having a character that's in focus that has a certain problem, that's kind of accentuated by the phenomenon.
Sure. I feel like they just had the idea, I want to explore teenage drama through the lens of all of these supernatural occurrences. Like, what's going to happen to teenagers when they have to X?
What's gonna happen
they
to these
have
teenagers when they can't repress their emotions
You
like
know,
normal?
like teenagers are so famous for.
yeah,
Let's get to
what
that.
happens? Yeah.
This segment of episode summaries is divided into sections. We have reached Kizu random.
Random wounds. Yeah.
The fact that the show goes on to explore other things outside of body swapping to me proves that the show was never really about the body swapping. Yeah, absolutely. When it should have been. The other two things that it does are nowhere near as interesting as the body swapping. I think they could have done a lot with the age regression, but they didn't. Should have just been body swapping the whole time. Anyway,
I don't know. I feel like there wouldn't be enough to do that way, but
I
go
disagree.
ahead. Just
I think there's a lot more they could have done. We never explore the implications of Aoki and Yui switching bodies, for example. I feel like that would have left her bedridden.
what, being a man?
Having Aoki specifically in her body unsupervised. Yeah, I don't feel like she would have reacted anywhere near as well as she did to that.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I feel like they could have used this first arc.
And
like,
then,
in
like,
more interesting ways in general.
Then
Yeah,
there
I
are
think
situations like what Iori pretended was happening with Inoba. When they start breaking down and actually committing crimes, like moral transgressions against each other because they want like information from each other about how they really feel. For example, I feel like seeing this group break down as a result of all this body swapping would have been an excellent way for this story to go.
I really do think that pretty much everyone's like, as much as I hate the fact that these characters are existing to talk about this trauma, I think each of their traumas, besides maybe Aoki, are all perfectly suited to body swapping to like really go into this sort of thing.
Yep. Plus, like, nobody's secret ever gets found out because of the body swapping, which I thought is where they were going with Iori. Because Inoba says to Iori, like, hey, I was in your body last night in your house, and nobody else was there. What's up with that? And Iori just kind of laughed it off, and it wasn't like, what, we're doing this now? You really want to bring this up right now in front of all of our friends? Yeah, my mom's not home at night. We'll leave it at that. Like, if we had any of Iori's family drama play out while somebody else was in her body, that is a great plot point. But we didn't.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that would have been super interesting.
Anyway. Episode 6. A story that continued before anyone realized it. 3 weeks following the body swapping incident, Taichi and Iori have yet to have a chance to talk alone about since the club has been busy writing a paper. One day, as Taichi and Himiko are alone in the club room, Himiko suddenly starts stripping and making advances at Taichi before being interrupted by Yui and suddenly smashes the table without realizing it. Later at night, both Taichi and Iori end up doing things unconsciously, though it does give them the chance to finally talk about the confession. The next day, Taichi, Iori, and Himiko learn from Maiko, Yui, and Yoshifumi had been taken into police custody after Yui had been beating up some guys for hitting on some girls while Yoshifumi was trying to protect her from being taken away. As Taichi, Iori, and Himiko discuss the voices they have been hearing in their heads, Heartseed appears again, explaining that they are being put through a new phenomenon in which their bodies will impulsively act on their deepest desires. As Taichi, Iori, Himiko, and Yoshifumi discuss that they need to be more careful to try to get innocent people involved, Himiko hides her doubt from the others. Later, Iori calls Taichi to tell them that they should put off dating until the phenomenon is over. This one's really boring.
Yeah, the problem, I think the main problem is, like, I love all of the problems that arise from this phenomenon.
Sure.
Like, the fact that 2 of the classmates have been sent to jail. One of them is, like, trying to deal with their repressed feelings to the main character. We'll get into that later. And the other one being, like, like, hey, I know we just confessed our love to each other, and I do love you, but like, if we start hanging out and
Not
like
the
really
time, bro.
dating, some shit's gonna happen because of that, and we need to make sure it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. My biggest problem with this phenomenon is that it didn't need to be a separate phenomenon. You already have a bunch of unstable teenagers swapping bodies with each other and having their deepest traumas revealed more or less against their will. Tensions are gonna run high. You're not gonna be thinking too clearly, and your emotions are gonna be all out of whack.
See, that's what I mean though. Like, the consequences I absolutely love, but I feel like you could arrive at those consequences through other ways.
Yeah, you didn't need to make this anything supernatural. Just keep the body swapping going and amp up the tension. It's like when the story gets to the point where the rising action needs to start boiling over, they just start again. They go back to the exposition.
Tanek, what are your thoughts on just the unleashed desires, I believe as they put it?
Mm-hmm.
I think, I think it's an interesting arc all around. I mean, especially since it gives more focus on Yui and Inaba. But I do definitely see Brian's point. I think I might even agree that while I mean it's like definitely the phenomenon that is clearly like just an more extreme version of what it already is to be a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And they could have done it be more interesting by, I don't know, putting a different phenomenon or using the old one.
Wait, oh my god, could you imagine though? Yui just like is like so sick of this, trying to stay home away from school where this is all where she associates all of this, and she literally can't because she keeps getting swapped with other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And then she knows while she is at school that other people are in her room, that Aoki is in her room in her body.
Yeah, that might like give more incentive to actually go to school and I guess build
It'd be
tension that
like
way.
it would end up becoming such a boiling point
Mm-hmm.
for her, and like they would have this great moment where it like really goes into her own trauma and whatnot, and oh my god, that would be so good.
Absolutely.
You need to rewrite this show.
Mm-hmm. And like they try their absolute hardest later, because they do the age regression thing and they send her back to the moment after, and they do fucking nothing with it. They just have her sit in a corner when Inoba's like, "Get a grip on yourself," and she's like, "Yeah, okay, you're right."
We'll get into that
Of
later,
course
but
we
just,
will, but
it
this
really
show
is just
such a waste.
Wait, you're talking about the first time when they visit Yui and Inaba goes too far?
No,
I've-
I'm talking about the age regression when that starts.
Oh.
no, yeah, that would have been an amazing way to explore the trauma of sexual assault happening.
And they almost do it. They acknowledge that they are
I think they
supposed
kinda
to do
do.
it.
I mean, I think they do it. It's just maybe not as focused as you would have liked it to be.
But they specifically don't. Like,
I don't think that's true.
we'll
to
talk
be
about it
honest.
when we get to the age regression thing,
Yeah.
I guess.
I guess we can.
But yeah, going back to we've already talked about like our problems with the unleashed desires.
Mm-hmm.
Basically Yui's just stuck staying at home. Everything is like a little bit back to status quo in the sense of like, you know, we're dating, but we're also not because we gotta wait for this phenomenon to be over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess we can just move on to the next episode
Yeah, like, I feel like there's not
haven't-
going to be much to talk about for this entire arc.
until we get to the
I-
camping trip.
Right.
I feel like maybe the only other remark I would have to say, maybe even just for the arc in general, is that I'm surprised Inaba only, I don't know, acted on her sexual desires once. Like when that was like the first thing that was shown, I kind of expected it to happen more.
Mm-hmm. What I don't get is, why do these desires stay mostly consistent? I feel like knowing that you're going to act on your deepest desires would sort of change what your deepest desires are, if that makes sense.
I
what do you
also real quick, I guess we'll have to talk about it when we actually get to it, but Heartseed going specifically targeting Inaba is really weird to me.
What do you mean?
So okay, well, we're getting into other episodes, but like, so Heartseed goes over to Inaba's room and it's like, hey, you're not really interacting with everybody else. You're like, you're not causing drama. You're not being very entertaining. It's like, well, I'm going to school, and it's like, are you though?
Sure.
And it's like, yeah, I get it. He's basically saying you're avoiding everyone, and you're not, you're trying to just like pretend this whole thing doesn't exist. But why doesn't he give this discussion to Yue either?
The one who is hiding in her room, not going to school, pretending that all
Yeah.
of this doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, we don't know that he
if I
doesn't.
remember right. No, I mean, like, I think the thing is that by the time he has that conversation, Yui has gone back to school. Like, they've solved her problems. At that point, it's just Inaba who's having the
I
issues
guess-
with the club.
I guess.
I guess Yui being
yeah.
absent was causing drama for the rest of the group.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Sure.
You're right. Okay. Yeah, I concede.
I'll give him that. All right. Let's go ahead and read episode 7 here.
Zeben.
Falling apart. As the others grow concerned about Yui, who has not shown up at school since the incident, Himiko tells Taichi, who has not shown up at school since the incident. Himiko tells Taichi that he could be in danger if his desire to help others is unleashed. As the others visit Yui the next day, she reveals that she worries that she might end up hurting others again. However, Himiko ends up unleashing her desire to scold her, stating that her belief that they could all be in danger if they do not satisfy Heartseed's desire for entertainment. As Yui doesn't know what to do, Himiko tells her to stop whining. Her crying and hiding isn't going to solve her problems, which causes Yui to have a breakdown, little mentee B. Because of the incident, Himiko tries to keep herself out of the situation, but Taichi's desire causes him to argue with her and lecture her for giving up on her friends and being a coward. She is visibly hurt by this and walks away with Taichi showing remorse for his words. So, Yui doesn't want to hurt people, right? That's what she's afraid of?
Yeah.
Would you say that's her
Yes,
greatest
that's
desire?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
They go.
yeah,
I mean, they go into it later, and at the stupidest reason for why the desire thing fails. But yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like the desires are supposed to be more like subconscious.
Impulses. Sure.
The problem is the same way that Heartseed can swap people on his own. He can probably select what desire flares up the most at the moment and expand that one.
You're probably right.
Which would
Heartseed's
be
a great villain.
Yeah, which would be in the first case being I want to protect these girls turns into I'm gonna beat the shit out of these men.
Mm-hmm. Heartseed alone probably brings the show up to a 5 out of 10 for me.
Still 3.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, Heartseed is what gives it those 3 points. This episode is nothing.
We don't get a whole lot of stuff.
Is it responsible of them to go to Yui's house?
Is the
I mean, they have
maybe
to
for
deal
the
with it
first
somehow.
time.
I'm always on the fence about this. Like, someone
Maybe
who's
the first
isolating
time-
themselves like this, you gotta be like, hey, champ, you okay? Like, I know you don't want to hang out with people, but you also have to know that it's really hurtful to you to not hang out with people. You can't isolate like this. You okay?
Is this the episode where Iori gets slammed
Yes.
against the table?
Yes. That's the
one of
next
the later
episode. I
episodes.
thought you meant
Next-
metaphorically slammed by the girl yelling at Iori
No,
about being
no.
cuter than her.
Oh right, it's this episode. Yeah,
that,
where it's
that incredibly cute girl being like, you think you can do anything just because you have a cute face? Like, what do you mean? Iori's face kind of sucks.
you have the same face.
You have the same face. That is very funny.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but I mean, go ahead.
it's just like it sure is just like I don't know. I don't really see the phenomenon happening in that moment. It's basically just like, yeah, we're all super tensed up because one of our friends is refusing to leave her house, and it's like this is just normal high school talk. This is normal high school melodrama.
Yep. Which I don't have a problem with. I just
I guess
wish
like
they were still swapping bodies.
I guess there's Taichi's desire to help people, which is like, I mean, I get it in the sense that like some people just naturally like they get fulfillment out of life by helping others. That's just a thing. That's how I get fulfillment out of life.
Congratulations.
But like I guess it's like it's another one of those situations where they could really explore that topic of how helping someone could really hurt them. And even Inaba says like, "Hey, even kindness can hurt someone."
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, cool.
Good line.
But like we never get that.
Yep.
We never like get to like really delve into Taichi's problems because we're always focused on somebody else.
Yeah.
You mean Taichi's personal problems or Taichi's problems with his desire to help everyone to maybe
His desire to help everyone. Like we have a conversation in the next episode about it, about him like being selfish, but they never really like quote unquote address the reason why he's like this. They never give a motive to his actions. He's always just, I help people. And why do you help people? I guess it's because I'm selfish.
Yep. Like,
and
he doesn't
and then we
necessarily need any profound reason to be like this, but if he's your main character, like, the problem with him as a main character is that he's nothing. He only exists to drive the plot forward. He's not an agent of his own. Even the things he does that actually advance the plot aren't his idea for the most part. Like,
really?
Like when Himiko's like, "Hey, you need to get on fixing Iori's trauma." Like, what? Iori has trauma? What do you mean? Like, the stuff about going to Yui's house isn't his idea.
Yeah.
He just kind
killing
of like
Iori isn't his idea.
In this arc, he's just kind of like, I need to fix people. How will you do that? I don't know.
I need to fix people and make every girl in the school fall in love with me. Except for the gay one. Anyway, episode 8. Episode 8. And then there were none. As Himiko distances herself from the others, concerns over Yui cause Taichi and Yoshifumi to argue with each other. When Iori comes to stop them from fighting, Taichi's desires cause him to inadvertently injure her. The next day, as Maiko makes plans with the class for a field trip, Iori becomes worried as both Himiko and Taiji are becoming more distant from her, in which she gets into a fight with Himiko, nearly unleashing her desires in the process. At the moment, Maiko steps in, declaring Himiko and Iori will be part of her group, much to Himiko's annoyance, as she argues that she can't make such decisions. However, Maiko tells her as a class representative she can, forcing her to stop protesting as she has no say in the matter. Later, Goto asks Taichi to help him carry some school equipment, as Taichi doesn't know what to do. Goto suggests Taichi should turn to his friends for advice, while Maiko later suggests Taichi should consider what is most important to him.
I mean, we got more just normal Professor Go out of this situation.
I love normal Professor Go, even though this scene doesn't matter. Like,
it doesn't matter all that much, but I just love, hey, I just said something pretty cool for a teacher. Yeah, up until you
sounded
said
like a
that.
teacher right there. I love how Taichi goes to Goto for advice, and Goto's like, you should really talk to your friends. Which, first off, the advice is, have you tried talking to the person? Which is fantastic. And second, it's, why the fuck are you talking to me?
Like, I'm doing just fine in my life, but like, I'm not the person you should be asking.
I love the class president just going mad with power here. That was very fun.
I think she made the right choice.
Yeah. We need everybody pair up into groups of 2 or 3 of the same gender, and then get another group of the opposite gender and just fuse. We're all gonna fuck on this trip. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is the love goddess of class 3-1.
I am the love goblin of class 3-1. Let's do this.
She really is a beacon of bright light for me in this anime.
Yep.
And I don't know how to feel about that because it's, you know,
Mhm.
an archetype that attacks me.
Just take your joy where you can get it. This is what my next video is about. Just take your joy where you can get it and understand the problems as well. Don't
I
beat
think
yourself up about it.
That's fair.
Yeah, I know you wanted to talk about a certain physical assault in this episode. Scrub.
What assault
Yeah.
happens here? I'm going through the episode now. I can't find anything.
It's when Taichi slams Iori's head into a table.
Oh wait, does that
That's
happen
this
here?
episode.
It's just like it's like
Oh, yeah.
wow, that's like intense. Oh, we're gonna get something. We're gonna go somewhere. Is she gonna be stuck out of like class for a while? Is she gonna be like fully knocked out? Are there gonna be like some like head injuries from this? Nope. Gets slammed on the back of the table. We put a bandage on her forehead. She's fine.
Yep. I didn't
Just-
notice it, but you pointed it out, and I was like, "Holy shit! They really did do that.
They really put
They
I
really
could
did put
not-
a band-aid on her forehead after slamming the back of her head against a table."
I could not stop laughing for so long, and the fact there are no consequences for one of the most vulnerable parts of your head is crazy to me. There wasn't even blood.
Like, one thing that I feel like doesn't get brought up enough. It gets brought up every now and then. But everybody's like, oh, it's okay. Heartseed made you do this. But Heartseed made them do this because they wanted to.
Yeah,
I mean,
obviously he
like-
didn't want to. He didn't want to physically hurt her.
Right.
He just wanted to push her out of the way to like, this is not your conversation.
Like, I understand, like, your limiters have been taken off. Normally you would have more self-control than this. I get it. But for things like the very first unleashing of desire when Inoba starts taking her clothes off in the club room, that's never mentioned again. It's like, no, I know that you wouldn't normally have done that, but we probably need to talk about the fact that you set me up with Iori when you yourself would like to be with me.
Yeah, I mean that comes up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's a problem.
Or Yui just talking about like, hey, you literally tried to attack a police officer for me, Aoki. Like that is
Would you
literally
calm
a
down?
symbol of like the most, like, either she would be like, can you stop like putting me on this pedestal, please? It makes me uncomfortable. Or like, wow, you really just like, this is the best declaration of your feelings for me. Like, either she would hate this or love it, but like, we never really get anything from that. That's the main problem I think there is like, the desires flare up, a problem happens, they talk about it once, move on to the next problem.
But I'm not sure if I'd say they talk about it once. Like they talk about it several times through the arc until they solve it.
Well, they talk about the desires flaring up, but like the specifics, like after both of them are released from prison and Yui, sticks to the bed, like Aoki tried to attack a police officer, and that's never brought up again.
They don't even really address Aoki having a crush on Yui.
I mean, I think they do quite frequently as well, but it's just mostly relegated to jokes and.
Yeah, it's just a joke.
Which, we'll get to this later, we say that a lot, but the way they eventually tie that into the traumatic narrative was a bit of a gut punch. It was very successful, I felt. Like, when we learn what Aoki's problem actually is, and where all of this adoration for Yui was coming from, I felt that landed very hard.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't do anything with it. The next episode is called Can't Stop, Can't Stop.
Don't stop, don't stop.
Yep.
You're in luck now.
It's called Can't Stop, Can't Stop, Can't Stop. Which just makes me think of Can't Stop, Won't Stop. But it's Can't Stop, Can't Stop. And I love that. Anyway. Episode 9, Can't Stop, Can't Stop, Can't Stop. Taichi apologizes to Iori and tells her that he would rather stay with his friends and risk hurting them than distance himself from them. After making up with Iori, Taichi also manages to make up with Yoshifumi, but Himiko is still avoiding them. Recalling how the body swapping allowed Taichi to help Yui with her androphobia, he and Yoshifumi assure Yui that her desires can be controlled with enough will and convince her to attend school again. Meanwhile, Heartseed appears at Himiko's house at night, bringing to light her withheld feelings, and she fears could tear the group apart if revealed. Indirectly revealing her feelings for Taichi as Heartseed digs deeper, asking who she cares for the most. Himiko snaps and angrily demands he stop talking. Heartseed smiles, stating Himiko is now fully aware of her feelings, and with that, his work is done. Himiko appears weak, trying to reject what has happened, but Heartseed expresses how easy it is to manipulate her and how he looks forward to what's to come. As he exits, Heartseed warns Himiko to stop hiding. Is there anything in this episode worth talking about?
I want to talk about how this episode kind of just proves the desires are actually that bad, where it's just like, yeah, if you just have a big desire to not have your desires flare up, you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
But okay, maybe you should finish first, then I'm gonna.
You brought up like the fact that her new desire is to make sure she doesn't hurt anyone, so of course she would be not hurting anyone if she walked outside, because she desperately doesn't want to hurt people.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this might be a translation issue. Like, choosing the word desire to represent what's happening might have misrepresented the situation. Because it really is more about impulsive and intrusive thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say that's kind of the thing. It's about first-order desires, not second-order desires. So, like, her maybe desire not to hurt other people is a desire about what kind of, I guess, what kinds of desires she should have, but it's not the same as a first-order desire, which is more directly about.
It's really weird. It's really weird, though, that their solution to dealing with this is basically just at the end of the day is like, we'll just let it happen. It's whatever. Who cares?
No,
we all just have our desires flare up about eating sandwich.
I do love that. How their answer is just don't hold any desires in, just do what you want all the time. I wish they had done more with that.
And yeah, unfortunately, Heartseed keeps just like shutting down the phenomenons as soon as like as soon as the author decides, well, they're done.
Mm-hmm. They figured it out. Like,
apparently, I looked in the wiki, and they actually stated that instead of entertainment, that's just another way of Heartseed saying that like the phenomenons end when all of the classmates share the same idea about the phenomenon.
Did they say that at any point?
They said it was listed on the wiki, so take it with a grain of salt. But
what do you mean share the same idea? I think like
they have the same opinion on, like, they all think about the phenomenon the same way.
I think they all think about the phenomenon the same way as soon as it happens. I would rather this not be happening.
I mean, I'm guessing it just means like the message of the arc. Like each arc has some kind of message, and then the arc ends when they realize what it is. They learn their lesson.
Then what was the end of the body swapping arc? Iori should die? Is that the idea that they all shared? Yes?
No,
I guess.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'd have to like recheck that episode. But I think for this arc at least, the message would be something like, well, okay, you're gonna hurt your friends sometimes, but that's fine, and that's better than trying to isolate yourself from them.
Yeah, sure. Like harm is unavoidable. Like,
yeah,
you are never going to be a perfect person, and everyone will always hurt everyone else. It's how you react to that makes you a good person or not. That's a fine moral of a story. I just think that the series doesn't actually express that. And it has to be put on the wiki.
I don't I don't know. I mean, I feel like maybe that's the part of this arc that they dealt with last episode because wait, actually, are we still talking about 9 or 10?
Let's
Uh,
let's just
right.
talk
I
We're
guess
talking
about
about
there's
episode 9.
we're
This is
talking about
the
9,
yeah
but let's just lump it all together.
yeah
We shouldn't do that.
because I
10's
mean
the end of this arc.
yeah I mean okay I guess like the end of this arc is more specifically about Inaba and Yori's
Mhm.
relationship with I guess their
Which is
relationship
so
a love
strange.
triangle there.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think we can go to 10
let's go to
because
10.
basically just the head slam is the only thing I had to talk about.
10 is called Putting into Words. As the school goes on the field trip to the mountains, Himiko remains concerned over what Heartseed told her. Iori takes notice and learns Himiko also has romantic feelings for Taiji. Iori confronts Himiko, who reveals like she never acted on her feelings as she did not want the group to fall apart, believing that no one wanted a weakling such as herself, as she didn't want to put herself between Iori and Taiji. Iori tells Himiko to stop putting herself down and reassures her that her friendship will always remain despite her flaws and their shared love of Taiji. As they make up, Heartseed possesses Iori and tells Himiko that Taiji had been in an accident, causing Himiko to panic, believing that he had fallen down a cliff. Upon discovering he had simply fallen out of a tree while rescuing a kitten, remaining relatively unscathed, Himiko breaks
Pranked.
down and pranked, bro. Himiko breaks down in tears out of relief with the desire unleashing phenomenon declared over. Himiko decides to confess to Taiji and despite being rejected remains confident in the fact that she may one day win against Iori and then gives him a kiss. Laughing gleefully, Himiko looks forward to a brighter future when she can be true to her feelings. Is
Yeah.
Himiko's issue with herself something that anybody actually feels?
You mean like
I'm so weak. Nobody wants a weakling like me around. Does anybody actually think in those terms?
Sasuke Uchiha?
Yeah, that's fucking Sasuke Uchiha feelings. Like, this isn't a shonen anime. This is a high school. This is
Actually,
a
I'm
real
gonna
life
check.
high school.
I'm gonna make you eat your words. Oh no, it's a light novel, so I guess it can't be shonen. Never mind.
There is nothing shonen about this. Even the shonens in this are a bit shoujo.
If you say
It's
so.
I mean, yeah, the best two things that I had for this episode was one, pranked times 2.
Yeah, that was a weird
He just
Chekhov's.
he has to have known. Like
Mhm.
he watches all of their points of view. He has control over time, so he absolutely knew that Inaba was like, "Hey, this cliff could like actually
Mhm.
kill someone, so be careful." And he goes, "Hey, Taichi just fell off a I'm not gonna
He
say
just
cliff,
had a
but
bad fall.
he had a bad fall. It was bad." And it's
I
like he
really
fell
like
out of
love
a
that.
tree.
I love this
He's so-
antagonist.
He's such a fucking dick in the funniest way possible.
And
And then
like
and then
it's one part of this show because we have said so many times I don't think the show did this on purpose, but I really like it. I think the show did this on purpose.
oh no, yeah, like
Heartseed is brilliantly written.
Heartseed is my favorite intentional character,
Mhm.
but now we gotta talk about my favorite unintentional character of Inaba.
Yeah.
Where she fucking has the audacity to go like, yeah, I set you two up because I have feelings for you, but I don't think the group would stay together if we dated. And it's like, okay, well, that's pretty selfish of you, but I guess I can understand it. Anyway, now that that cat's out of the bag, you're not really like dating Iori, right? Well, I mean, we're pretty much dating, especially with like if the phenomenons end. It's like, yeah, but like there's still a chance for me to like replace her, and I'm just like a girl
Because that's not gonna cause any friend group problems.
like that is the most damaging thing you could do to a friend group, and this girl is insane and I love her.
But I mean,
we
isn't
love
that
an
the
unstable
exact
queen.
issue?
What?
I mean, I think that was exactly the point of the arc because that's why Inaba wants to isolate herself in part because she thinks her feelings for Taichi are a problem and she should just let them be. And then Yori has to come in and reaffirm to her that they can remain friends no matter
No, I
their
adore the
partner.
fact that like Iori and Inaba are both just like, yeah, we have a crush on the same guy. We're basically rivals, but like they're just such chill friends and they even talk about it together. And it's like that's fucking cute. I love that. But the fact that like Inaba specifically says, "Hey, there's a chance I could replace Iori in your heart," is just like, girl, oh my god, that is insane.
Yeah.
I love Inaba so much. She's so fucking weird.
Can I say something that will spoil the OVA? Because
No.
I assume neither of you care enough.
Oh no, I want to hear this.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So Inaba wins in the end. What happens in the OVA
What?
is that Iori questions her feelings. So she realizes that she never really loved Taichi that much, or like it was kind of a childish love. Then that means that by the end, Inaba gets together with Taichi and they're dating.
That is unhinged.
The only hint I could possibly see about that in the actual show is the fact that Iori calls him Big Brother when she's a child. But
well,
like
at the end of episode 13, the last line of the series is, "Do I really love Taichi?" As though that was the point the whole time.
Yes, that was what that was foreshadowing to the arc in the OVA.
Yeah, I love how that's the final line, by the way, and then it just like cuts to like the still frame of all of them walking back to school happy.
Yep. But no, that's like, man, that's like they took the door out of the frame and replaced the hinges and put the hinges back and then unscrewed the hinges again.
They got a whole new frame for the door.
They rehinged and unhinged the door again. That's how unhinged that is. And we still haven't even gotten to the hair conversation yet.
The hair conversation?
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Episode 11, who's into age regression?
Me. I'm not actually, I'm sorry. I'm
yeah,
a liar.
okay. The correct answer is no one.
Yeah, we aren't allowed to ever since Gushing Over Magical Girls came out, we aren't allowed to talk about that anymore. Episode 11. A story that began as we realized it. I hate this naming scheme. Anyway, we are now in the Kako random arc. Just so everyone knows.
Kaka.
These arc names are so weird. I guess they all have random. That's like the thing connecting them.
Random is a Japanese word. They do say that.
But like, is it just an Anglicism, or
yes,
does it actually mean something?
It's an Anglicism. They took the same word from us. Anyway. On the day before winter break, following a brief period of peace after the Desire Unleashing incident, a new phenomenon takes place in which Iori and Yui temporarily revert to children from noon to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. After returning to normal, they lose memory of what happened, but remember things from when they were that age. Later at night, a second heartseed appears before Taichi through his younger sister, Rina Yaigashi, tasking him to watch over the others and warning him not to tell others about his existence. The next day, Taichi stumbles upon Yui, who is argued at by an old karate rival, Chinatsumi Hashi. After breaking a certain promise which she cannot remember, as the gang meets up at an abandoned building, this time Himiko and Yoshifumi shrink, with the now 10-year-old Yoshifumi likening Yui to a girl named Nana Nishino. After reverting to his normal age, Yoshifumi explains that Nana was a girl he went out with once before she moved, leading him to be conflicted over how his feelings stand for both her and Yui. The next day, as Taichi and Himiko watch over a 14-year-old Iori, Himiko voices her worries. So, this is such a strange decision for this show to make.
Yeah, it's so weird that, like, it literally is just like, hey, I'm not Heartseed. I'm just another one. Heartseed has nothing to do with this problem.
Mm-hmm.
He somehow will not be noticing this issue.
Yep.
Until the end.
Pranked.
Like, what if
Heartseed gets pranked. We're fucking with his experiment.
Wait, but I just considered this now. What if Heartseed is actually lying about not being the second one?
Could still be Heartseed.
The OVAs prove that's not the case because they introduce a number 3.
Oh, I see. But what if it's just Heartseed lying again?
No, because literally they oppose each other.
But what if it's just Heartseed pretending to be opposing himself?
I guess.
No, I mean, I think either the wiki is wrong, or I don't know, maybe you misread something about it, because there's no third. Like the Heartseed 1 is the heart seed in the OVA arc.
I have to assume that this is like maybe a manga thing or something, or a light novel
Yeah,
thing, I guess.
probably. I mean, there's like a way more chapters than I imagine they could have adapted in 17 episodes.
So, I've mentioned this before, but Aoki's trauma, I guess, quote unquote trauma, is the most interesting one of the entire group. To me.
In that he started dating Yue because she reminds him of his previous crush.
Yes.
It's like not even like you couldn't even like really call it trauma in the sense.
No, like
it's
that's
the most
the thing.
mundane.
That's the thing, is that when it comes to these teenage melodrama stuff, like they always react so strongly to things, and sometimes it's earned. Like you've got Yui with her sexual assault trauma, and sometimes it's not. Like you've got Inaba with her vague references to not being the person she wishes she was, but it's always very like over the top serious, to the point where like people are yelling at each other about it, and it's hard to care because there's just so much emotion wrapped into this when it's not that big of a thing.
I think the best thing this age regression phenomenon does is bring out the idea of like lost memories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like the fact
for
that
sure.
Yue has a partner who's constantly, or a partner, a buddy who's constantly just going like, "You forgot our promise."
Yep.
And
It's
she's
an
just like,
interesting
"What
idea.
the hell are you talking about?"
But yeah, like then you have Aoki here, who is just sort of standing in the midst of all this chaos thinking, I did lose something important when I was younger, didn't I? And I am kind of trying to get that back now, aren't I? And when this entire situation has been played for a joke from episode 1, and we learn that it actually is kind of a big deal, that it actually does bother him in ways that he didn't understand until now, I think that is more emotionally impactful than anything else in the series.
You mean it
Aoki-
bothered him
Yeah.
that he can't date Yui?
No, it bothers
Or
him
it
that
bothers-
he's missing this friend of his, or this girlfriend, or whatever they were.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
And
they
that
used to
he
date.
didn't even realize he was trying to replace that relationship until now.
I actually genuinely love the conclusion that he comes to.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's a shame it happens in this show. But I think that is the most emotionally impactful backstory of any of these 5 characters, despite being the second least important after Inoba.
What?
It's
Wait, you're saying
yeah.
Inaba is the least important character?
No, I'm saying Inoba's backstory is the second least important.
Yeah.
She doesn't nothing happened.
I mean, she's
Inoba's is
to
the
be
least
kind of-
important, I mean.
Inaba's is just like, yeah, I just kind of don't trust people.
Inoba's is,
I mean, she was an
I
introvert.
cause all of my own problems for no reason.
I don't think that's true.
I
mean,
guess
I feel like
Taichi's is the
he's
least
such a
important.
private- Yeah, I mean, obviously he basically doesn't even have one.
Right, I wasn't even
Like,
considering
sure.
him.
Yeah. But either way, I mean, I feel like maybe Naba's, like, the way it connects to her being a shut-in, or, well, not really a shut-in, but like an introvert, like, I guess it doesn't come up explicitly too much, but I think a lot of her character can be framed in that way.
Sure.
Taichi not regressing at all is like just proof to me that like, yeah, Taichi's just the most nothing protagonist.
We'll get to Taichi not regressing at all in episode 13.
But yeah, it's this episode is fine in terms of like it's got some pretty decent setup stuff.
Yeah, if they did something with it, I think that this is a fine start to a story.
Do you want to talk about what they do with that stuff in episode 12?
I do! I love it! I snapped this scene and I sent it to all of my friends. What were you gonna say, Tenek?
I think I was just gonna comment on what Scrub said about Taichi being a nothing character, and that's the reason why he doesn't get regressed. I mean, I think that might be a part of it, but the way I understood it is that the second wants to, I guess, put this as another challenge towards him, for him to act as like the parent of everyone who's always
No,
going
yeah.
to be an adult.
Watsonian
That is the
reason.
Watsonian reason.
Yeah, Doyleist reason is because he's the main character, and that's it.
Doyleist reason is
So you
because
think
he doesn't have anything that would make for interesting age regression.
Yeah.
Episode 12, is it time?
It's time. Go for
Episode
it.
12, Into a Snowy City. As the gang have to look after Yori, who winds up as a baby, Yui is confronted by Chinatsu, who challenges her to a karate match and defeats her. Meanwhile, Yoshifumi ponders if his feelings for Yui are because of the similar appearance to Nana on the second day of the new year. Yui reverts to right after she was assaulted, and upon returning to normal, remembers vividly about during age? And upon returning to normal, remembers vividly about during age. As Yuri refuses to talk about things with Chinatsu and lashes out at Yoshifumi for only liking her because she resembles Nana, he scolds her for refusing to face her problems. She keeps making excuses and giving up, and she has no right to criticize him. Both walk away from their outburst, ashamed of their words. Talking with Taichi alone, Yui reveals her promise with Chinatsu was to meet each other at the national karate tournament, which she was unable to keep after contracting her androphobia, and laments how weak and reliant she has become, but accepts her fate nonetheless. After sending Yui home, the others speak with Yoshifumi, who remembers his personal vow to live carefree and decides to go visit Nana to tell her about his love for Yui. Afterward, Yoshifumi reconfirms to Yui that he loves her for who she is. This encourages Yui to stop running away and facing her own problems, embracing Yoshifumi and overcoming her androphobia. Afterward, Himiko becomes suspicious of Taichi hiding something from everyone, so...
Okay, so I got some things to say.
Oh, so do I.
First of all, the scene of like, I think it's absolutely fucking brilliant to have UA revert to like right after the assault scene.
Oh yeah, that's where this was always going. But they do literally nothing with it.
Then we have the situation of like everybody realizes what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
She's reliving this horrific, traumatic event, and the guys just stand there like, no, get the fuck out of the room.
Yep.
You need to leave.
Well,
and then Inoba just says, hey, get over it.
Get the fuck over it, you loser.
Get the fuck over. You just had one of like the most horrific events happen to a human life. Get over it.
Stop whining.
Sociopath!
I guess this is why Inoba's afraid of being seen as weak, because she thinks weak people deserve to get bullied.
It's insane! I can't believe it! Oh
no,
my god.
But that somehow is not even the most nuts thing that happens this episode.
Yeah?
The most absolutely
my
ridiculous thing that happens this episode is when Yoshifumi spontaneously gets on a train, goes to his like second grade girlfriend's house way out in the country with his boyfriend.
He apparently has not
he has not seen her in half a decade. And he goes to her house. This woman walks up to him on the street and she's like, Yoshifumi? Is that
like,
you?
Hey, I really enjoy, like, we had such fun together.
Why
It's
are you
great
at my
seeing you."
house? And he's like, I just need to tell you that I was in love with you when we were kids, and now I'm in love with someone else. Like, okay.
I got my hair did.
I cut my hair.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, great job. Like the way she said, I cut my hair recently, I expected her to say, do you want some? Like
just the weirdest conversation written by aliens.
Do you want some of my hair? Also, would you like to come inside and see my parents? I don't really want to be in this alleyway alone with you.
No, I gotta catch the train home. I literally just had enough time for this conversation.
And then
just
Taichi
to say,
looks at him like, wait, we do? We're going home tonight? We just came here to stand in this alley for 15 minutes?
Not even that.
Even.
Wait, I mean, does she actually offer her hair? I can't find that.
No, she doesn't.
No,
she
doesn't.
Her. Like, why else bring it up?
You're like, I got my hair cut, and he's just like,
got
cool.
some in a bag.
Cool.
then-
That's great that you got your hair cut.
And then when Yoshifumi says, anyway, we gotta get going, she says, mm-hmm. She just nods like, yeah, you do.
No wonder he fucking stopped, like obviously the implication is that he stopped dating her after, he moved to a new place, but like, I would stop dating her too if that was her response.
Well, no, you gotta look at this from her perspective. Like, this person you haven't seen since grade school is in your back alley confessing his love of someone else to you because she kinda looks like you, which he doesn't even say. This is insane.
Move on, okay?
You are scared for your safety at this point. Not to mention he's brought another man to your back alley. You are not at your house, which may be a blessing.
Wait, do you think she would actually feel scared?
Yes,
by,
I would feel
Aoki's
scared, and I'm a man.
I mean, I don't see why. I mean, they're not like in frequent contact, but they still are said to send like New Year cards to each other.
He said he stopped sending
like, I'm
New
not sure
Year's
why
cards.
it would be.
Like
I mean,
3
why
years
would-
ago, he said.
I'm not sure. I think he said that like it's still something they do like on an ongoing scale. But either way, I mean, I don't know. I don't really see a reason why she would be scared of an acquaintance.
I would be scared of someone I hadn't seen since elementary school showing up behind my house in the middle of the night with a friend. Finn Underwood rightly points out that she mentions cutting her hair symbolically as a way of saying she moved on.
That's even funnier because she's basically saying, "Why are you having this conversation?
Why didn't you cut your hair?
Yeah, like just go already."
Just fucking leave.
That either way, no matter which way you look at this scene, it's so funny.
Mhm.
I feel
Oh,
like it would have
boy.
been less weird if they just stayed for a coffee or something.
No,
Yeah,
yeah, it
because
would have
they-
been so much better if like he's just like, "You want to grab a coffee?" and they were like,
Mhm.
"Sure," and like they just like said like, "Hey, exchange emails and we can just stay friends." Like that would be so cool and nice and pleasant. But no,
Yeah.
it's just, "I love this other girl."
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Yep, see you never.
Sure. Okay. That's what I expected to do
Okay,
anyway.
By the way, this isn't my boyfriend. Okay, cool.
Cool.
I was worried you were gay.
I would never love a man. Never once in my life. Even my dad. Episode 13.
Wait, no.
Okay,
No.
fine. All right, what is it? What is it now?
I want to talk about the hug.
Okay.
I mean, this is kind of important for Yui.
No, you're right.
I
You're
think
right.
the way that it's drawn, the way that the emotions happen, I think the scene is really, really good. There's just one little problem I have with it.
Sure. Go ahead.
The most unearned scene in the whole show.
Yes.
I think Yui overcoming her trauma like this and like as a way to like cement these two are in a relationship is beautiful.
Mhm.
However, I do not think that they have put in the time for either her to overcome this trauma or the relationship to bloom like this.
Yes.
I
Especially
wouldn't
since
agree
we
with
just had this whole arc about Yoshifumi maybe being in love with another girl. And maybe basing his love for Yui on a lie the entire time.
She not to mention the fact that like if anything her trauma would have regressed because of the fact that she just re-experienced it instantly, but because some girl said get over it, I guess she will get over it now.
I can see the regression
don't think-
potentially being helpful for some people. Because
just having it sounds like, from what it sounds like, the way she phrased it, at least in the English dub, the idea is that she had repressed those memories
Mhm.
and is now re-experiencing them,
yes.
which
Like-
is real talk to the people who are watching. Unlocking regressed memories is not always a good thing.
It's not always a
is-
good thing, and it's not even really that much of a thing.
It's generally you don't want to just reopen regressed memories from like a person, because those are regressed for those are repressed for a point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your brain did that to help protect you.
But also, memory itself is flawed, and every time you remember even things that you remember accurately, you aren't remembering the event, you're remembering the last time you remembered the event, and it's like a VHS tape getting copied over and over and over again and getting more degraded every time you remember it. So
Yeah.
repressed memories lose a lot, and they're often inaccurate when finally remembered.
But I mean, this is a supernatural phenomenon. I assume
Yeah, no, this
the
is all
memories
fake.
we
This
get
is
are
fine.
supposed to be accurate.
No, yeah, but I think if Yue just had more scenes where she dealt with this trauma that's now reopened in her life.
This show needed one fewer character.
It needed one fewer character, yeah. It needed Taichi out.
Yeah, honestly. Taichi didn't take up much time.
I'm going to be real. I don't think the show needed a main character.
No, an ensemble cast would have been great for this show. Which is what it felt like it was setting up with the cinematography in episode 1.
I mean, if you would ask me, I would say Taichi is not the only main character. To me, Iori and Naba also feel like main characters.
Sure, like it's not so
Yui
bad.
and Aoki that are kind of secondary.
It needed Aoki out? No face explosion. Aoki is perfect because we wouldn't have hair scene.
Taichi took up too much time of other people caring about him. I guess that's true.
Maybe.
I was so terrified.
Yeah, no, Aoki needs to be the main character, if anything.
I was about to flip my actual shit if fucking Yue, when Yue said, "Yeah, I'm in love with you, Taichi."
Yes.
Then he's just like, "You ever think about has a girl ever said that to you?" And I'm like, "Oh, you made the save, but like you're on thin fucking ice."
But I messaged Mariah about that, and I said, like, I just witnessed the worst fake confession I have ever seen.
I was so scared.
I'm in love with you, Taichi. What? But that's gonna cause so many problems in the friend group. And what about Aoki? Has anyone ever made a confession like that to you? Oh! Oh, that's what you meant. Like, what do you mean that's what you meant? That's the worst phrasing of that idea you could possibly say.
On whose part?
On her part.
Oh, like she Well, but isn't that the idea that she intentionally wants to gauge his reaction?
I didn't take it that way. No, that's like the doctor coming out of Iori's surgery or Iori's hospital room and saying, "Your friend is dead." What? Tired. Tired from what we've done to her. She's gonna be fine.
Kind of. Anyway, I feel like I would like to comment on Yui since we were talking about, I guess, her development in this whole arc. Honestly, I expected you would say something like that it's not really believable how her memories of, I guess, doing karate and being more empowered would help with overcoming her fear. Because I could.
I mean, the thing is that that trauma started because she thought she was safe because of her karate, and then she learned that she wasn't safe. She couldn't physically win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in an unregulated environment.
Yeah, so karate, if anything, that's why she left. Because one, she didn't feel like it helped her at all, and two, it probably was like a trigger for remembering that kind of trauma.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't see it being a trigger, but okay.
That's just speculation on my part and how most people would associate traumatic moments. They usually can make connections like that in their mind, even if there isn't correlation.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the very end of this episode? Which is
what happens?
When when Taichi gets confronted by Inoba about Heartseed. Heartseed
Hey,
2.
Oh,
you know something,
You know
don't
something,
you?
don't you? And don't we see him regress at the end of this episode?
No, we
I
see
think
that at the
maybe-
beginning of episode 13.
Can we move to the beginning of
Yeah.
episode 13?
Yes.
Episode
Sure.
13, as long as the 5 of us are together. As Taichi is forced to tell the others what he had been hiding, the second Heartseed reminds him of the consequences, making the age revert phenomenon happen at random times and including Taichi in the phenomenon, which forces them to stay in the building to avoid others discovering them. Iori becomes stressed, believing that Reika is in danger from a violent second husband who wants to get back together with her. Iori, briefly turning younger for a short period and regaining memories from that age, is stopped by the others when she starts to head out on her own. As they tell her she shouldn't try to do this alone and ask for help, which she does after a much-needed pep talk. As Taichi, Iori, and Himiko reach the house and hear violent noises, they are forced to retreat after Iori turns into a baby. Just then, the first Heartseed approaches them, ending the age revert phenomenon and offering Iori the opportunity to go back in time and rectify some of the bad decisions she made in her youth. After some encouragement by Taichi and Himiko, Iori declines this offer, saying that her past mistakes have allowed her to become the person she is now. Afterward, everyone goes with Iori to see Reika, where they both realize she had made mistakes trying to make other people happy. After Reika gains the encouragement to turn her second husband away, Iori gives thanks to everyone who made her the way she is. Yui apologizes to Chinatsu, promising to meet her at the National Karate Tournament. As winter break comes to an end, Iori starts to question if she truly loved Taichi. So this
Unpranked.
Unpranked. So this episode starts with Taichi reverting to childhood. The OP,
Yeah, he was forced to tell them, you guys. He was absolutely forced to spill his beans over the thing he was told would have dire consequences because his friends lightly jabbed at him to tell them.
So
Yes.
he tells them about Heartseed 2. He gets reverted to childhood. The OP plays, and he's fixed. We
Does
get
not happen again. It's just Iori.
Taichi
Well, I mean, I think-
says 0 words as a child or about being a child. When I thought we were finally going to get into Taichi's backstory and see why he is the way that he is, it gets fixed off screen during the OP.
Yeah, but I think that's because the real, I guess, consequence of not listening to the second one is that now it's completely random and they can like hardly organize.
Yep, that's it.
around-
When I
around
thought it
them.
was just like, there are going to be consequences, we're going to make them find out what's wrong with you if you tell anybody. Nope. Nothing's wrong with him. He's fine.
And
He's
that's
just a
it.
little
That's
too
it. That's the
helpful.
point of the show, guys. All of you watching, that's it. We pranked ExPoint.
That's it.
Show
I
prank.
got Heartseed pranked. So Reika's second husband, let's see. Yeah, there's this whole shit with Iori. Heartseed
Oh,
gives
yeah.
Iori the chance to go back in time. Which, what? You can do that?
To be fair, I believe that he can do that
Sure.
if the other Heartseed can revert people in time like that.
But can you imagine if she said yes and he was like, pranked.
Pranked. Yeah, that would be
Sorry,
amazing.
pranked.
Imagine the melodrama.
Mm-hmm. She'd be like, oh, that's kind of rude.
That was the wrong answer. Get pranked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Iori says all of my bad experiences were good, actually, because they made me who I am, and I know who I am now.
Which is like the weirdest way to phrase like I can get through this trauma. Like that's like such like that's like such high schooler level like philosophy.
Mhm.
Well, they
I
are.
think
They
I
are
think
high
most-
schoolers.
They are high schoolers, but like a lot of I mean, they're high schoolers when they aren't talking about their traumas.
Yeah. Then they're philosophy minors.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, I think most adults would be like, no, absolutely. If you can just send me back in time, are you kidding me? Yes, do that.
Knowing what I know now. Send you back in time, but you don't get to keep your memories of now, so you just do the same things.
You just do the same thing. Heartseed pranked.
Oh my goodness. The only thing I really want to talk about from this episode is Iori's mom going out to yell at her abusive husband as if it's a good idea. As if she just didn't think to do this before.
No, yeah, like I thought those punches were gonna be
get
the
killed, woman. Like,
I thought those punch sound effects were coming from the father about to like attacking her.
like I wanted like an SAO abridged type scene where she went out and we just heard sounds of violence as the rest of the cast stared at the door.
2 gunshots on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, like when she said, "This is my problem, I can handle it on my own," I wanted her to just go outside and we hear 2 gunshots and then she comes back in.
Can we talk about how that line is like the antithesis of this show? Where like
No, she's an adult.
Like, no, but the entire show is about how these kids need to talk to others and like work out their problems together.
Kids do need to work together. Adults can solve their problems on their own.
Adults could. It would be so much better if they had the line like, "I couldn't before, but with you people here, I have the courage to stand up for myself."
Now that my child is emotionally supporting me, I have the courage and the wherewithal to end my abusive relationship.
It still wouldn't be good, but it would at least be.
Misunderstanding it.
It would be thematically cohesive.
No, I mean, I don't think that's what happens. It's not like her mom needs her emotional support. What her mom needed was just confirmation that Iori didn't actually, for any personal reasons, want them to come back.
Yes,
She only
that's the
wanted them
problem.
to come back. Yeah, exactly.
If the mom did need Iori's emotional support, that would have been more thematically cohesive. Instead, the mom is just like, "Oh, I mistakenly thought that you wanted something that you didn't want.
You
and
didn't
now
want
I
this?
am going to undo my mistake by myself."
Okay, first of all, if I'm that mom, and it's like, even if I thought my kid wanted to make that connection, I'd be like, no, that's a shitty connection to make. I'm not going to let this monster get anywhere near my child.
Mm-hmm. The child wants something unreasonable, and as a parent, it's my responsibility to tell the child that she cannot have it.
Anyway, it's fine. She shot a man.
It's fine. She went out and called her abuser a worthless bastard, and now she's free. That's all it takes.
That was the climax of the show.
Of the entire show.
I guess the climax is actually the Heartseed confrontation, but then they just said we had more runtime to fill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, the climax is Yui and Chinatsu agreeing to meet at the National Karate Championship.
Could you imagine if, like, could you fucking imagine if like they combine the two, where it's just like, let's go take out this abusive husband. They open the door, it's Heartseed possessing the husband.
It always has been Heartseed, though. Her mom was dating Heartseed.
Her mom was dating Heartseed.
What if it was Mr. Go? Not Heartseed Mr. Go, just regular Mr. Go, and Iori never told anyone. It was Satoru Gojo the whole time.
He alone was the honored one.
Does Iori truly love Taichi?
Does Iori truly love Satoru Gojo?
I wonder, do I really love my mom? End of show.
You can have it be any character.
End of show. I'm done. Tenek, do you have anything you want to talk about?
I mean, I would say, I don't know. I guess maybe it's a weird suggestion for the two of you, since you clearly don't like the show that much.
Mm-hmm.
But the OVA definitely is entirely focused around Iori's angst and her inability to have a true self. So I don't know if that sounds interesting. I would suggest that. And I mean, to anyone listening, who hasn't seen it,
sure. I'm not going to watch it, but I feel like if they had focused on that a bit more during the show, it's not a bad idea. Like the thought of a high schooler literally not knowing who she is, that's a metaphor for being an adolescent. Like,
Yeah.
there's potential
Well, I
in that
mean-
idea.
I would,
Yeah.
to anybody listening right now, I wholly recommend this show for like a Mystery Science 3000. Like, this is the perfect show to just like grab some popcorn, get some alcohol if you're into it, or some weed or whatever your mojo's to relax.
Yep.
And just riff on this bitch. I had so much fun just discussing it here and writing notes.
Yep. Like, I think you aren't going to get much out of it watching it alone. It's not really that kind of so bad it's good watch, but yeah, getting some like-minded friends together and just jabbing this thing seems really fun.
This is a 3 out of 10 for me, but like it's a good 3 out of 10 in terms of like
5 or so. I think that the show has some very good ideas. I think parts of it are done very well. Heartseed, as I've said many times, excellent antagonist. But for the most part, it doesn't take its good ideas anywhere. It does some things that are just downright baffling. And the dialogue is awful. Yeah, that's how I feel about it, Finn. Out of all the anime trash I've watched, at least it tries some things that are different and creative.
This was still better than Angel Beats.
Yeah, and I gave Angel Beats like a 4.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that my opinion is just completely different. I know you I mean pretty much phrased every problem you had with the show here. I felt personally like they weren't that big of a deal.
Okay.
If they were a problem at all. For me personally, it did like scratch the same kind of itch and the same kind of thing I like about shows like Toradora or Agairu.
Yeah.
Maybe with the
sure.
exception that like it has a lot more of the verbose monologuing about emotions.
And I do love me
Control
some verbose emotional monologuing. Like Place Further Than the Universe and O Maidens both do that, and I think they have the same director, so that makes sense. But yeah, I love that kind of shit. I either love or hate it, depending. Like Evangelion, despise it. But Serial Experiments Lane, hate it. Any show where the characters are drawn with white outlines, love it.
I mean, you ironically love King's Game, so...
I don't ironically love King's Game.
No, I said unironically.
I just love King's Game, but that's a different situation. That's not something that should be taken seriously.
No, yeah.
A lot of cliches and wasted potential between shining moments, but I could see people giving this a 6 out of 10. I could see this being resonant with some people for sure.
Like me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think my main
this is
problem
not like
for
Angel
me...
Beats, where it's just worthless to everybody.
Oh yeah, for me, I think the things that it does are stuff that would resonate with me, but I am very picky about those sorts of things.
For sure. Yeah. Final rating, 5 out of 10.
3 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Cool. We got all the odd numbers. If Fire King were here, it would be a 1 or a 9.
Yeah, the number 1 and number 9 don't exist.
We have to appreciate the fact that he's gone.
As for our recommendations for next time, Fire King wanted to propose School Live, Gakko Garashi, which I haven't seen in a while. I enjoyed it. It's about a bunch of cute high school girls who are doing activities for the School Living Club, where they have chosen to live at school.
That's all you're gonna say?
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, what else is there?
Yeah, that's what the show's
Yeah,
about.
it's just
and there's
cute girls doing cute things.
girls living at school.
Yes, definitely.
Yep.
With a shovel. All right. I've got one. Scrub, you said you had one.
Yes.
Tanic, you got yours?
I think so.
Okay. I'll go first. Yuri on Ice. It's time.
Oh god.
Oh, that's gonna win. Fuck.
Absolutely it is. What you got, Scrub?
How do I win this?
Well, I was gonna go with my favorite artistic anime that is an absolute 10 out of 10 in my books, which is Tatami Galaxy.
I've heard of that. I used to think that's what TTGL was short for.
The Tatami Galaxy
Tatami
Liberation.
Galaxy. Anyway, Tatami Galaxy, School Live, Yuri on Ice. And
my choice, Panty and Stocking.
Panty and Stocking. All right. Well, I will see you all next month for Yuri on Ice.
Wow, this is like actually
confident.
like okay. Obviously, Yuri on Ice is gonna win, but like at the same time,
Scrub, you're breaking up.
Oh no.
I
I
think.
can hear him.
Am I better?
Can people still hear me?
I mean, we can
All right.
hear you.
Something got fucked up on my end. I can't hear you guys anymore.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
to everyone
Finn
who's
can hear
still watching,
everyone.
go
Well, I
go
can't
vote
hear
for
everyone. So I'm
go
going
vote for Tatami
to
Galaxy. Don't
unfortunately
vote for
have to
Yuri
call
on
this
Ice.
No,
over.
you have to vote. You have
Legendary
to vote
says
for Panty and
Kakugarashi is the
Stocking.
best out of those, and it isn't even close. I haven't seen the last two, but I have seen Yuri on Ice, and it's at least better than that.
For Tatami
So anyway,
Galaxy, you have to believe
Scrub,
me. It's
sorry,
amazing.
I can't hear what you're saying. I can just hear that I can just see that you're saying things. So I'm going to give you two an opportunity to say anything important before I close this thing. Go.
You have to vote. You have to go and vote for Panty and Stocking. It's the only Guy Next show.
Just
It's
make
like
sure
the
it's
only Guy
not.
Next show we've had so far.
Just make sure it's not School Live. School Live is the worst one out of everything on this list. Just don't vote for School Live.
Wow, really talking shit about the Fire King when he's not even present?
I talk shit about everyone when they're not present.
Wow, okay.
Except you, Tenek. You're alright. You're cool.
Thanks.
I'm sure that was incredibly insightful. All right. Thank you all for coming to the Anime Club, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
If you want to get in on this for yourself, you can go to patreon.com/explanationpoint to find out how. Link in the description. Bye.
Bye.
Gooby, I'll miss you.